him so much faster. And that can really make or break the race for you. People have to be patient. Really respect the race. You know, you're going to have something off. Game over right away.
Wow, look at this. I was going to say, that's a little adventurous going down the outside. Yeah, you got to get that position. Probably going to lose another one. Yeah. That was a very brave move.
Well, that move it.
Right up.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going at it, and the blocking that was going up there from first place there. We're going to get a replay of it. Yeah, darn it, right to the inside as we get a replay here. Coming through turn 9, and he throws the block on him.
Hello and welcome to round 3 of the 2023 Pro Sim Racing Sprint Championship Series. And what an event it has been so far. We've had 2 of the 3 qualification events so far. Of course, the final, that's where it's all at. Our top 4 drivers progressing to the grand final at the 24 hours of Daytona in January. Who's going to make it? Well, we're not far away from finding out. We've seen domination from Williams in round 1, but it was all about BS competition in round 2. Who's it going to be tonight? Well, we haven't got long to find out at all. I'm Tim Cox, joined as always by Alex Simpson. And Alex, rounds 1 and 2 completely and utterly contrasting rounds, as I mentioned, dominated by different teams and big names going out at different stages in each of those rounds.
Yeah, hello everyone, good to be back. Yeah, what an interesting couple of first rounds that we've had. You know, Laguna and Sebring, very contrasting circuits, 2 very different teams delivering the goods essentially. But yeah, BS yesterday 1, 2, 3, and Reina looking, you know, extremely strong. We've got some highlights from yesterday behind us at the moment, but yeah, and then Williams looking really, really strong. La Fuente having a bit of a rough ride in the first race of yesterday, yes. And that could really, well, I mean, we've seen the order and we'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, he's going to have to do extremely well today to try and lock in his place in the final. And I think there are still a few, perhaps, that were looking from the outside in that have got an opportunity but are going to need to have some really strong results today and hope that actually others have, like some have had already, where they end up in the wall early on or something like that. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising because you mentioned La Fuente. He won pretty much every single race at Laguna Seca. Fast forward to last night at Sebring, completely different. Goes out at the quarterfinal stage, and Talvar completely mopped up. First time ever in the series, won every single race through from the very first race this evening through to quarterfinal, semi-final, and both of the 3 final events.
Yeah, I mean, normally it takes some time for something like that to happen in a series like this. I'm hoping that this will be back. This won't be the only time we see this kind of VRS eliminator format that's going to go on, and we'll be back again, and hope you work in with, you know, VRS and Coliseum again for something for 2024. And yeah, normally you would see, like, it takes some time for someone to get 100% record and things like that, but yeah, we got it in the first season. It was just amazing to see it kind of unfold, to be fair.
And even he was surprised when, in qualifying, he was 3 tenths clear of absolutely everyone, and it came even a bit of a shock to himself. And I think, you know, a little bit of where we spoke about in detail across the last couple of rounds, that change in new tyre model to GT3s, the change in the BOP, having to get to grips with that, with it being so soon. Even for round 2, it's only a week's worth of running, and the track's only announced 24 hours before the actual event, so there's 0 prep time. It's basically straight from 1 and then trying to estimate what you're going to be running in next and making the best of whatever you could deal with.
Yeah, and I think they make it a little bit more tricky as well because it is open set. If it was a fixed set, the drivers 24 hours out, they get the circuit, take the setup, They just go and run some laps, you know, and you can kind of get used to it and you know what it's going to be. But with an open set, you know, you have got to build something. You have got to try and maximise the performance of the car. So there is an extra element that, you know, gets thrown at you as opposed to a fixed set.
And there's no benchmark either with that significant change in BOP, changing the weight to the cars as part of the update where they're now heavier. So all your historical data is, I would imagine, completely irrelevant.
I mean, I think to some extent some of it's still working from what I'm understanding, but yeah, there are obviously changes that they're going to have to do. And I think one thing that has obviously happened, obviously the Porsche was the favoured car last season. Now, let's say we have said that it still might be there on the long run, but for these short little sprint races, certainly the Lamborghini and the Audi have come into their own, and then they've not used that for a couple of seasons. So not only do they have to get used to how to drive it, but they've also got to get their head around the setup. That might be a couple builds ago where they've actually done some. So yeah, it is a bit of a curveball for the guys that they've had to kind of contend with. Today, probably even more so as well, because they've had a week on the previous ones to kind of get used to the build. Maybe they can guess what track it might be. But today is a case of, well, they had to practice all the way up until the race and then do the race yesterday, and today it's just like, well, you absolutely only have had 24 hours. Maybe some of them might have gone, well, that could be Fuji, it's a new track, maybe they'll put that in the competition. I mean, I don't think they will have done. Maybe they'd have looked at it and gone, you know, it's an American-based series. They're going to put, you know, some...
Yeah, it's going to be all American tracks.
Yeah.
But, well, that's the nature of being completely random. It throws up these opportunities, and as Alex mentioned there, rightly so, we are off to Fuji, the land of the rising sun, sitting at the base of Mount Fuji. It's really picturesque and, well, iconic for that start-finish straight. One of the longest, if not the longest, in the entire world. Certainly in modern circuits. I know quite a few of the older ones, like the likes of Avis, could probably beat this. But I mean, it's fast, free-flowing, lots of high to medium-speed corners, a couple of slow ones. We're running without one of the final chicanes, so towards the rear end of the circuit, it's still quite fast and free-flowing. Talk about overtaking opportunities. What chances? We saw plenty at Sebring. Where are we going to see the action here, Alex?
Yeah, I think as we've got the mini-map, track map behind us as well. And yeah, I think turn one obviously is going to be the prime location that we're going to have the moves done. Maybe we might see people complete it coming out of sort of turn two and into turn three if they haven't quite got it done, or someone's trying to defend on the outside, for example, and they finish it off through three. 4 and 5, very tricky, long corners. Don't think you're going to see anything too much there. Single file, sort of medium speed corners. But there is an opportunity to take a lunge into 6. Again, tricky braking, downhill, watch for lockups. Think people will make some mistakes there. So maybe we might see some up and unders through there as well. Get the run out of there. And then you've got sort of 7, 8, 9s all flat out, and then what would be the tricky chicane that we kind of mostly have seen on the official stuff so far, but we've got kind of like a sort of medium speed turn 10. That should make it a bit more interesting, but definitely still an opportunity to make some moves. And then 11, 12, we're going to be coming at that a little bit more in terms of the speed, so I think there is an opportunity there if you haven't quite got it done, but the primary one I think guys are going to focus on is going to be turn number 1.
Do you think it's almost the drivers, due to the long slipstream, the long race down to turn 1, almost sort of worth conceding the place through that back end of the circuit, especially when it's coming on to the penultimate lap? You concede it and then get the place back into turn 1, or do you think, I mean, know what these guys are like, anything is possible?
There's certainly an opportunity to get the job, to get alongside and get in from, whether you hold on to it. So maybe you don't want to be the person that's first of a pack going in onto the last corner, onto the last lap, because likely they're going to have to dive. But maybe you risk it and you hold the inside and they don't get the job done and things like that, and you still defend. So I wouldn't like to call it. I think it's not like it's sort of the Dot and Hoe or something like that, where, you know, if you are first going into that last straight, you're guaranteed to be, you know, fourth by the time you hit the kink or something like that. There is still an opportunity to defend.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, last night we had a 5 wide at one point into the turn 1 at Sebring. 6 wide, it's not quite wide enough for this sort of track, but I get the feeling there's going to be a bit of a mad run down to turn 1, opening lap. Definitely going to be interesting. We'll mention one of our, both of our sponsors. First of all, Virtual Racing School, but Coliseum. A lot of people probably maybe watching for the first time might not have caught our previous 2 broadcasts, thinking, well, who are they? What do they do? They are a brand new, coming in January, social media platform, which is going to bring drivers, teams, leagues, sim racers, motorsport fans all together under one umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've obviously seen that there's basically an issue with kind of, or it's not so much as an issue, is there's a fragmentation of all the social platforms at the moment. You know, some brands and manufacturers are doing a bit over here and some are doing a bit over there. So you've got some content creators, because not only for motorsport IRL, it's actually like they're targeting the sim space as well. And their idea is to kind of have this nice all-in-one platform that sort of has all the best bits of everything that's kind of out there and puts it, you know, aggregates it into a really easy to use app. Obviously we've seen a little bit through the advert and things like that, so it does look like it's going to be fairly simple. So I think January is going to be interesting. We should see the app launch by then. And certainly more information about it, and it'll be as a team owner, I think it's going to be something else that we're going to look at and see about how we can kind of use that. I know that Lewis, our social media manager, who's listening in right now, will be probably cursing because he's got another platform that he's got to post on, things like that. But I think the most important thing is there's lots of data that can be pulled from it as well, that actually is very difficult to get that when you're on platforms here, there and everywhere.
Yeah, scattered here,
exactly.
There,
so it'll be a lot easier for actual drivers and you know, content creators and things like that to be able to sort of say, look, this is what we're doing. And we spoke yesterday as well about, you know, what do sort of team owners look for in things about trying to recruit people. You know, social media, whether it be IRL or sim racing, is such a huge thing now about having like decent fan engagement and things like that, and to be able to present that in a nice, easy fashion, because the data's already there from the Coliseum app, will make a huge difference to say, look, here's my following, you know, here's how I engage, here's the kind of comments and interactions that I'm getting. So I think it's going to be interesting. Let's see how. Well,
the interesting part for me, Alex, was obviously anyone who's started off here trying to grow an online profile, you start from scratch, you've got no one. You can tap into different communities and almost have a bit of a leg up ultimately, and you know, get that sort of footing already and get yourself exposed and out there and draw in people very, very quickly, which is completely different to anything else, you know, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Yeah, it's the slow grind, isn't it, that you have to do. And it comes back from what I'm saying, that I think they're just pulling the best bits where actually the community helps to kind of grow. Like we've definitely seen one platform do that kind of before. So like I say, they have cherry picked all the best bits. So I am looking to see, you know, how interesting it's going to be and how it's going to grow in the space.
Oh, most certainly. And well, not far away from qualifying, it's just ongoing right now, and we'll be getting into race 1. We're going to head to a quick break. We'll see you on the other side for race 1 this evening.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, and we are not far away from the start of race 1 of the evening. But who is going to progress? Are we going to see another one of the big names drop out early on? Well, we're not far away from finding out at all. And there's a few people out there ready for redemption, and look at that. Sanchez of Apex Racing Team topping the timing sheets in qualification. He's got his work cut out if he wants to progress to the final. He's given himself the best opportunity by starting the foot on pole. Talvar, as we mentioned, our winner from last night, he starts on the front row alongside him. Then it's Webster for Red Bull and Altis Caruso. A great drive from the two Audi guys who line up on row 2. Row 3 is Warren and Barneveld with Bonga and Marciano on row 4. Row 5 is Nico Rubala, and he's got Daniel Lafuente for company. He's fallen down the order a little bit after his flying start in round 1. Norby Kiss has Labrige for company on row 6. And row 7 has Toff and Iglesias. Daniel Pastor lines up alongside Castro Luedo, with row 9 being made up from Moritz Lona and Jimmy Atunas. Violette as Julian Sullen and an all R8G Esports row 10 with, well down through the field there, Jonas Varner. He's got off the hook for company on row 11. Row 12 is Pablo Lopez with Lucas Muller. And that is your full grid for this evening. 24 cars, 16 progressing. Who's going to make the cut? Who's going to fall out? Well, everyone's just lining up right now behind the Porsche 911 safety car. And, well, there's a few drivers out there, Alex, just looking at the standings coming into tonight. It's going to be tight for them, and they've really got to push hard early on if they want to try and make this cut of the top 4.
Yeah, Talvar and Jonas looking very good. 32 points, 31 points. Right behind them, Jordan Caruso, 30 points. And then Ruben Bonga rounds out your top 4. So those are the current finalists on 29 points. So Sanchez, for example, 24 points. So he's going to have absolute maximum points tonight and hope something goes wrong with some of the other guys. So... sorry. Yep. I'm reading the wrong column. Let's not shy away from what I just did there. Absolute rookie error. 61 points, 56, 56, and 56. That is incredibly close. I wish I'd read that one the first.
Oh, exactly. It just builds the anticipation even more so. It is incredibly close beyond there with Pastor and Barneval both on 33, so 3 points behind. Well, 3 of our top 4. Labrige, he's on 50, so we're just heading down the start-finish straight, waiting for the Porsche 911 safety car. As it's time to get hyped, everyone, because we will be going racing incredibly shortly. Safety car's in. Sanchez controls the field. What's going to happen on the run down to turn 1?
Oh, this one makes you wait ages as well, Fuji. And Alex is away. And, yeah, obviously he wants to break the draft as quickly as possible. We saw what happened last week.
It's left everyone for absolutely dead, and Talvar scrambling, trying to cover up the inside, trying to cover up the outside. But look at that, Kawanda Porsche just trying to sneak through. That's Warren there, and he's making a bit of progress. It's all someone around. That's
one of the doors.
Jonas Varner, who's currently lying second, a joint second, and also Jimmy Atunas as well in there. And there's another spinner in the midfield. So we're heading through the circuit now. But Sanchez is clearing off into the distance. 8 attempts clear. Talvar following him through. Then Webster, Warren, Caruso, Barneveld, Marciano, Bonga at the Fuente, Rubala running out your top 10 for now. To see Violette, someone who ran incredibly well in the previous rounds, and at the moment he is outside that top 16 to progress, but only just because onto the brakes. Here we go. We ride on board with the Frenchman. That is Lopez ahead of us. That is the chance of being inside the top 16, and he knows he can't hang around. Although it's a slightly longer race compared to the others, our longest race of the evening at 20 minutes, it comes around incredibly quickly. and he needs to get these moves done early, don't you, Alex?
Oh, you do indeed, yeah. And Quinton needs a really strong race again. Obviously, he did amazing yesterday and needs to bang in a load of points and just hope results go his way. So let's, let's see how that pans out.
As down the start-finish straight we go for the second time this evening, out on to lap 2. Sanchez weaving around trying to break the draft, and well, it's just one long snake of cars as they head down that straightaway. Onto the brakes. Nobody really, well, I was going to say nobody elected to having a bit of a dart out in the look, but Top's having a good go. Is that going to be 2? No, it's just the one. He bangs doors on exit with Pastor for Williams Esports. And we ride on board with the Hungarian, and he's got that move done. And you look at his rear view mirrors, and it is being absolutely filled by, well, that's Lerner, who's managed to get past Pastor as well. A double overtake. The Top running wide. Is he going to pick up a slowdown?
I think that far out you might do. It's a bit, you can run a little wide, but only so far, so we'll see.
Well, so it's showing Lerner's managed to get his way through Pastor. Now having a bit of a look, turning up the pressure onto Top. As these guys scrambling right now, trying to get away from that 16th place, and actually just looking ahead. Lerner's got past, so Pastor's has got past, and also Lopez past Top. There's LaHook now trying to make some progress. And this battle for 16th is really intensifying. It is cranking up as they're all moving offline right now. And that's the Audi of Lucas Miller for Door Esports, trying to be opportunistic, trying to find a way through on the switchback, trying to catch everyone off guard while they're all pushing us offline. As Swennen making airborne there with the front end as he clattered those sausage curbs.
Well, 2 laps down and just absolutely frantic as well. So yeah, like I say, it's fast. There's battles going on everywhere. Look at it, 3 wide. Oh, they're pumping in the background too. Here we go.
Hold tight, everyone. Because this could end in tears, or it could go remarkably well as 2 R8G cars take on a Ford Zilla, and onto the brakes we go. Is it going to be a big move here? Potentially, no. They all managed to sort themselves out. But we talked about being like Noah's Ark. Well, they're running around in packs of 4, aren't they, side by side? There's one pack, then another, and then another. There's the ones in the background. Cascioluede, one of them, and wow, Pablo Lopez is dropping out a little bit right now. Outside that top 16, he had managed to get himself comfortably in it into 15th, but you see, there he is, Cascioluede. Oh, 3 wide on the exit, you can't do that, Jan Sulman. That's not normally allowed. They go 4 wide here for a brief moment at Fuji. You just don't see racing like this in the longer, even in the officials, let alone some of the esports events, do you, Alex? Where they know they need to get these moves done desperately early, and this is the last chance to try to make progress up the championship standings, to book yourself off that plane. That is off a hook around, while he came off the worst there by far.
Yeah, poor Arthur. He's pretty much a bystander there. I think turned in absolutely as he should. But yeah, just turned around. I mean, he's still there. He's still sort of fighting, but down in 20 seconds. So he just really needs to go like the clappers now if he's going to make it up to 16th. And talking about 16th, Lopez gets himself back into 16th as we're looking back from Sanchez's Apex Racing Team Lamborghini.
Well, this is the battle that we need to really focus on as they're making it 3 wide into turn 1. The Audi gets squeezed on the inside as Muller there just about holds it together. It looked like we were on for impending death, but it didn't quite happen. As Violette now holds on to that 16th. Lopez down to 18th. This is chopping, it's changing. 3 cars all over 1 position left into the next round. And now it's advantage Musler as Violette squeezed to the outside. That Audi back inside the top 16. But don't discredit Lopez. He's sitting there stalking the pair of them, waiting for one of them to make a mistake so he can make his way through. So we look back from the Door Esports Audi of Muller, and he could lose that place. Violette has a bit of a look, just backs out of it. So they all clatter the curves, bumping and making their way through the circuit. And oh, there we go. That's the move done. Or is it? As Lopez tries to find a way around. No, backs out of it. He knows he's on the outside. Needs to look for the switchback now. Really hook it up for these last few corners of the circuit. But meanwhile, up front, they're out onto the start-finish straight, and that gap up front is shrinking. It's down to 4 tenths. This time last lap, it was 6 or 7 tenths. And Webster, he's closing in too. We've now got our top 4 being covered by what, less than a second. Well, mate, that less than 8 tenths there recently. So we break into turn 1, Alex.
Yeah, great racing up front. Great racing in the mid-pack as well, as we see Mark Sterner having a little look, trying to get himself up another spot. So we didn't see Marks yesterday. I don't think he was on the grid. So just trying to do what he can for this one. We certainly did see this man, which was Rainer Tauber. He's looking back at the moment at Cooper Webster. Webster just looking where he is in the points. He was 10th place as well. So he needs a really, really strong final round as well to see if he can make it towards the final.
Trying to start to do the calculations now for you, Alex. Well, I think this Varner is out, so that means that he's at 24th place when he's going to finish on about 8 points, and that's really not going to help him when the likes of Caruso is going to make good progress as things stand at the moment. To see battle for 13th there between Pastor and Lerner. Ooh, well, they need to be a bit careful. We've seen it before in the first couple of rounds. These midfield battles, as much as the results set the grid for the next race, you don't want to end up falling off the track. Are we going to see history repeat itself? Let's hope not. As well, trying to get the side draft practically there off one another. Matching moving areas.
Morris with a good move there, just to obviously get up the inside of that final corner, and actually the way the draft pack kind of worked really helped him out, because it meant he was in the draft the whole way down that straight, and able to essentially get the move done, which we just see in the aftermath of.
Breach. Well,
haven't seen much of Florian since the first round a week ago.
We haven't, and it's not looking good for him right now, because he's dropped 9 places, obviously getting caught up on that lap one incident. And it looks like he is not going to be making any further progress tonight. The gap over 16th, that's still just about as tight as you like at 3 tenths. There's Nico Rubelar, who's about as cool as a cucumber there. Not really phased by anything at all. It makes me everyone.
Just takes a load of curb on the inside there, but fortunately that just settles back down nicely.
He saw his webcam, it hasn't phased him one little bit at all. As he heads around.
So we need to get the guys in the motion, into like the motion rigs. Yeah, we talked about it in round 1 where we see them brake and it pushes them up out of the ship. Let's just see them tip them out of the seat.
They go flying every which way. Just having a bit of a twiddle there of maybe a few settings. And well, it's calming down a little bit, keeping one half of the eye in the background there as Pastor. Wow. Between himself and Lerner, these two have been trading places all race long, and they're going to swap around again. No. Williams Lamborghini in the end has to settle around, squeezed massively out wide there by the Audi of Lerner for door Esports. I mean, he definitely wasn't leaving the door open at all. Probably slammed it in the face there of Pastor. As we head through, it's all calming down a bit. Swennen battling with Castro Luede, someone we didn't see in the last round as well. I said that it calmed down between these two. I would say ding ding round 2, but I think this is about round 25 for these guys. It seems to be pretty much every other corner they have an attack at one another, swap places, but it is backing themselves up into Toff of Arnage, who's close right in on them, and at the half race distance Toff could end up picking up the pieces from the pair of them. You can just see him in the background there.
I mean, I feel like they'll be happy to battle it out as, again, another little side-by-side bit of action. Just because they've got that 3-second buffer to the battle that's 4/16 behind. So I think...
Oh, mistake there.
Okay.
He just tapped into the back of Toff and had to get out the throttle, and the car just sort of understeered, lost grip at the front. And, well, that means it's now advantage top. He's headed through. Meanwhile, out up front, Warren making more progress. Down at turn 1. Last lap he got himself up to third. This time around, he's up into second. But Talvar is demoted down to third. And that means he'll be starting from the second row of the grid as things stand at the moment for race 2. Sanchez looking strong up in front at the moment as... Let's take a little look back to what happened at the start. Down into turn 1 and yet again, Alex, it was tight in the midfield.
Such a tricky first turn, you know, hairpins like that. It just reminds me of turn 1 at Spa, you know. Similar sort of things happen. So yeah, not surprised at all.
The source being the source of all problems normally at Spa and death. Although, don't have to worry about it this evening. It's been relatively calm, other than that earlier incident. Everyone just seems to be behaving themselves. It seems like they know what is up for grabs. See Labriche through. It's gutting for him after a strong showing early on in race.
This guy's still going at it.
Oh no, they will not leave each other alone. And now, but Top has dropped back behind Pastor as Lerner and Pastor trade places once more.
They're running the risk of getting caught up now, though. 1.5 seconds is the gap, a little bit more in the draft. They're in the draft, and that brings 2 cars into the party that they won't want, because that means one of these 3 could end up not making it.
I see a bit of bump drafting going on between the 2 Lamborghinis there. As Toff pushes Pastor through, but then tries to make it 3 wide into turn 1, and they're all going to zip together. No, Toff heads down low. You can see a gap emerging, but it's blocked right now between Pastor and Lerner.
There's nothing you can do here if you're Toff, unless you want to make it 3 wide.
Oh, there's a mistake from Lerner. He's run wide. He's just outbraked himself a little bit there. He's currently to driver's right of Toff, but he is still just ahead. And where Toff's on the outside, he's getting squeezed around, but he's kept it in there, and he's got himself up into 14th. Lerner now down to 15th, dropping 2 places in the space of about 4 or 5 corners. As up front.
Look at this. Yeah, this is a great battle. So we've got a lot of BS and a lot of Altus out there right now. So one driver we haven't seen too much of is Simone Maria. And yeah, you know, good to see him up there as well. I think one of the newest drivers to the 10K club, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yes, congratulations on the Italian. To look back from Caruso there, and well, guess what? They're at it again. But actually, I tell you what, Pastor's really opened up a gap, and he's left. Oh, that's Iglesias off. I'm sure that's the car. I've just seen the cloud of smoke.
Yeah, dropping down the order. He's out and into 18th. So that does mean the 2 cars that were battling behind, both of them are going to make it into
the next round.
Into the next round here.
As there is Caruso heading past Talvar, and I tell you what, Marciano was just mentioning this entry into the 10K club gets himself promoted, and Talvar started in 2nd. He's now down to 6th, 3rd row of the grid. I know we've got further races to come, but not having himself early on after that dominating display last night. Not looking so comfortable here at Fuji, and talk about not looking comfortable. The soft just squeezing Lerner, banging doors, banging wing mirrors there. Unless they make it through, but, well, as you said, rightly so, Alex, look who's behind them now. It's Violette and Muller, but luckily they have got a bit of a gap between themselves and Swenen.
Yeah, like I say, most importantly, though, like you're saying, that is now for 16th place, where a minute ago that was 16th and 17th. So they'll not be too worried, not at this stage anyway. I mean, they won't want to drop down the places. We've seen the guys battling hard because they know that means the grid spots for the next round. So there is a reason to go at it. But yeah, Rubela doing well, sitting here quite comfortably in 9th place, tucked up behind the trio of the BS competition Lambos out there.
Let's see. Well, a few more adjustments looking like there's going on there from Rubela. We should change his to brake balance, maybe, just trying to change the balance of the car down into turn 1 versus the final corner, Panasonic.
Yeah, I'd probably say that turn 1 heavy braking, they may have slightly different bias settings there, just making little adjustments just to make sure they don't snag a rear brake or something silly.
So look back from Caruso. It's a long queue forming behind him, but equally, well, talking of queues, it's forming here, and right now, Top is getting backed up into Villette. And now he's just trying to be the aggressor and the defender at the same time. So look back from Lerner now. You can see Top behind us, then Villette and Lucas Muller, as there's almost a bit of contact there. I'll tell you what, it's full aggression mode right now from that Arnage Lamborghini.
Yeah, under 4 minutes to go as well, so just a couple of laps is all we've got. I think if you want that place, you gotta go tough.
You've got to go tough. No, Lerner's gone, and this is going to change things. He's off into the barrier, and Toff is losing places. He is down. No, he's up. It's
toast.
Oh no, it's all gone wrong for Lerner. Toff gets away with it. That's brought Lucas Muller back into the equation.
Yep, so obviously one out, one in.
And Swennen, all of a sudden, it looked like we were going to have just the one R8G car progressing through as Sanchez now under attack for the lead. I tell you what, Dave Morin and that Porsche Coanda car has looked absolutely aggressive. He's been absolutely electric into turn one. Can he make it another progression? No, he can't. But there's now a Red Bull Audi right behind him. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. And it is super close. They're all over one another as we ride on board with Warren and VRS Coanda.
Yeah, Dana Driver who's had his fair share of bad luck in this championship for sure. So it's nice to see him up there again.
But to be fair, actually, our top 3 right now, all seeking a bit of redemption. They've not had the best of luck. None of them have made it through to the final so far. And, well, who's going to pick up the victory?
Oh, that's a tricky little corner there, isn't it? That's quite a bump on the inside of that apex. You never really realised that. So, I don't think I've ever drove that layout, to be fair, myself.
No.
I mean, I haven't driven this circuit that much, certainly not in iRacing. It was more sort of Gran Turismo days, I think.
Yes.
That's where I've...
It's a little bit different with a controller compared to a wheel, certainly a force feedback one, but...
Driving Force GT for the win, mate. It was for me back then. Here we go then. Fine. No, getting ahead of myself. I thought it was... Well, this was the checkered flag.
No.
But no, we've got one more at least after this.
We've got one more to go, and this is one more set of opportunities. So this lot to change around. Sanchez is kicking the wall, and he's being pushed by Warren because I think he knows he's under attack from Webster here. The Audi just a little bit further back. And Warren just looking to secure that front row start to race 2. For now. He's still got opportunities though. This is the beauty of Fuji, isn't it, Alex? And are we going to see a late lunge later on the lap for Warren, or does he just play it safe knowing he's on that front row? So we see under investigation there, incident between cars 8 and 20.
Yes, that is
Toff.
That is Toff and Moritz. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's wow, turning up to fever pitch right now. This battle for the lead, half a second covering the 3 of them. A 10th covering our top 2. As Warren just turns up another level, cranking up against Sanchez. How much can he absorb? There's a lunge up the inside there for Warren. This is time to shine. Can he make the move stick? Sanchez fights back. He's on the inside, but he's going to be on the outside for Panasonic. He's surely going to squeeze that VRS Coanda Porsche wide. He is, and that's going to allow Webster back through. As the Red Bull Audi now looking to pick up second place, but Warren's got it.
Little cutback. That is amazing.
Webster, what a way to take second place right at the death, and now it's the sprint to the line, and it's going to change in the background here. Warren's down to 4th. Caruso's going to pick a 3rd, or is he? Because they're across the line. Who's got it? Caruso picks a 3rd, Warren 4th, and Marciano into 5th.
Yeah, just have at it with a bit of teammate action there.
Wow, what a finish, and well, it's still not done and dusted as well, they all come through the plumes of tyre smoke there. Wow, and yet again...
So Muller and Julian then for 15th, 16th. I'm surprised that Julian didn't ease up for his teammate there, because I'm just trying to look at the points, whether or not Yeah,
Well,
because Florian's got a good chance of making it to the final if he made it through, but he hasn't now.
No, and a few of our drivers definitely, well, falling out, to say the least. Not a good event here. Well, it's a good start for Jonas Varner, who has now been eliminated, him finishing absolutely dead last. So he picks up 9 points. Let's just go through your race results, though. Sanchez with a victory by 2/10. Cooper Webster snatching it at Panasonic with a spectacular move there right at the line for Red Bull. Altus, in the end, third. Caruso just sneaking through from where Dane Warren, who'd been making progress steadily throughout the race, now starts from fourth for the next race because of where he has finished. Marciano fifth. Talvar dominant at Sebring. And wow, not so far tonight for him at Fuji. He finishes sixth. Barneveld seventh. Didn't even mention him all night long. Ruben Bonga either. After domination from the BS Plus competition. 1, 2, 3 in the final. Well, now 6th, 7th, 8th in the first round this evening. Arnages, Rubilar's 9th. Kiss in 10th. And then it's the two Williams cars of La Fuente and Pastor, 11th and 12th respectively. Violette 13th. Then it's Lucas Muller for Door Esports in 14th. And then two R8G cars, Swen and Labrie. They look down and out, but they've squeezed in by the skin of their teeth. And they have made it through. Out are Lopez, LaHook, Atunes, who had a great run last night. Toff, Lerner. Of course, that's under investigation, the result between those two. Iglesias, Castelluedo, and Jonas Varner. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a race. Let's take a bit of a break now. We're going to have some highlights and also an ad break. And we're back in the studio to try and unpick what we have just witnessed in some epic racing from round one. See you shortly.
Osric said that's a little adventurous going down the outside. Yeah, he's got to get that position. Probably gonna lose another one. Yeah. That was a very brave move.
Well, that move
right up.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going at it, and the blocking that was going up there from first place there. We're going to get a replay of it, yeah. Darted right to the inside as we get a replay here, coming through turn 9, and he throws the block on him.
Welcome back after the quick break, and well, I think we needed that one after what was an amazing finish. We've seen previously the top 10 certainly have just on that last lap haven't really, they've played it safe, stay behind one another. No, not this time.
No.
Not this time. It all just, those last couple of corners, it just all just completely broke loose. And well, you see it in the background right now. How quite Alejandro Sanchez managed to hold on to that one, and how Webster got past as well. I honestly don't know. And Dane Warren, I mean, he would look comfortable in second and then ends up finishing fourth, and Caruso sneaks into third.
Also, Dane goes from being first, because there he is, just for a split second, first, and to fourth, which is crazy. So yeah, amazing battles. And I feel like this is just pride, right? Personal pride. Like, these guys not necessarily sure if they're going to get through to the finals or anything like that, so they're just giving it absolutely everything, putting on a bit of a show. And what a move that was from Cooper. He just lined that up perfect, got amazing run off of there as well. And then unfortunately for Dane, the Audi was just the perfect slipstream partner for the Altus guys there, and they nearly both got him.
It was, crazy. Dane Warren's going to feel absolutely gutted, surely. He's, like you say, he's gone from very, very briefly winning to, leading even, to then all of a sudden finishing fourth, where he just got pushed offline. And you see through those corners, when you get offline and everyone else behind has got the run on the normal racing line or gone for a bit of a late apex, and it just sailed through. We're all pulling each other along, and he was left out to dry on the outside with no one to slipstream off, and well, it just went in almost in reverse.
I think you're probably right. Perhaps he's like blast, but I think he'd have loved that. I think all those guys, that final lap, that was just great racing. Like when you have battles like that, even if you don't win, sometimes you just come off with a massive smile on your face and just go, "This is why we sim race." It is. Like, your adrenaline will be pumping, they'll be loving it, and like say, be grinning from ear to ear.
It's good to know, even with the pros, that they get excited about finishing 8th, like sort of level I have to. I get resigned to, but wow. We're getting some more of the highlights from the race behind us, but it was all about that yet again. Instant on the opening lap. It was tightly congested into turn 1, but they made it out past the apex. But it was on the exit, that's where it all kicked off. And again, we've lost Brige and we've lost Varna to, in prior rounds, 2 big names. Yeah,
we briefly talked about it, maybe because of the off-track and the slowdown penalty on the outside turn 1. Like, people don't want to run out so wide there, so they do try and hold it in tight, which is why I think it's just, the exit's just tightened up quite a lot, and there has been a little bit of contact on there. I don't think it was anything too major. I don't know if it was looked at or whatnot. So, Jonas's one, unfortunately. That was a shame to see that. Terminal damage as well, because he went straight back to the pits. 2 good rounds, but I don't think that's going to be enough to get him to the final, I think.
So it's put him on to 66 points, which coming into this evening, effectively, very temporarily, that actually makes him the leader in the championship, only because Rayder Talvar obviously hasn't locked in his position yet, so he's not had no points added on to his score. But, like you say, with some of the big, the names that are behind him that can make up positions tonight and are already through to the next round, it's not looking good, and I'm sure there's going to be a few sweaty moments for those two over the course of this evening.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be quite hard for us to call it through the night until we really get to the finals with who's going to kind of make it, and then if there's anybody else that can bump anyone else out if they make it either to first, second or third, whatever it might be. But yeah, we'll try and eliminate people. Yeah, we'll try through the night. I think it's going to be
the black marker difficult. Of doom and cross them off the list.
Yeah, big red on the Google Sheets.
Definitely, but it is looking even more promising for Talvar. I said he was at the departure lounge at the end of the show last night. He's walking down to the gate, I would say now. He's pretty much there. But, I think as long as he can get through into the semi-final, then he's pretty much home and dry, especially if we have another one of those, big names that are just below him eliminated in the next round.
I mean, the tricky part for Rayner right now is he's in the mire, right? He's in that mid-pack mire now. So there were some great moves done. Like Dane made a lot of progression, so did Cooper as well, and it pushed those guys back a little bit. So now they're in that mid-pack madness. So,
well, and of course, the next race
could easily be him last, right, for the next round. Well, that makes a difference.
There's only 8 progressing out of the next race, the quarterfinal. So it's really work cut out, because the last thing you want to be doing is he will be starting from 6th. It's battling away with those guys, and it's so easy, as we've seen in the previous 2 rounds. It's so easy to lose places in the blink of an eye, and then all of a sudden you got your work cut out with trying to make up that time and make up those places.
Yeah. I think the most important thing for him is he's not facing backwards coming out of turn 1. I think if you can avoid that, then even if he doesn't make it to the semis, he should still be able to score enough points in that race. But I think if he's the first person out, so to speak, of this next one, then it's going to put him under some pressure. The gap is still really, the way the points work is still really, really close. So pressure is still on. Like, maybe he just needs to be sensible in this one, and if people are diving him and things like that, maybe that's why he dropped back in this one, because he doesn't necessarily need it. He's perhaps trying to help his teammates out and things like that with this one. So that turn 1 is going to be so important for him.
And will be helped as well, being able to help out his teammates, because there's 2 teammates will be starting directly behind him as well. So he will have that extra edge, but they are all on the cusp of elimination. The 6th, 7th and 8th, obviously it was mentioned, only top 8 getting through, so they are at that cut-off, and everyone else behind them, well, they're going to be queuing up, waiting to make an attack on them. And I mean, yes, we saw last night it was easy for them to gang up 3-on-1 in the final, but it's 3 of them versus 8 cars behind them, all wanting a piece of the pie.
And unlike last night, they're not controlling the starts or anything like that.
No, they're not.
So they're just going with everybody else. So that's what makes it just a little bit, the risk is just a little bit higher. So, let's say that. I mean, they know what they've got to do in terms of staying safe and things like that, and I'm sure we'll see that. But it only takes, as we've seen, one spinner in front of you, so out of your control. We've had championships lost because of accidents ahead when you're not trying to push or overtake, and they just up and lose it, and you just slow motion torture until you hit them, sort of thing.
Yeah, you sort of watch it unfold into you and just pray to the netcode gods that it comes off, you hit them, and the car instantly repairs itself, and it never works. Although when you're battling for a championship, it never quite works out like that, does it? It always goes against you.
It doesn't seem to.
Disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
The only luck you seem to have is bad luck on those sort of fronts. But obviously, looking ahead now into the next round, into the next race of this evening, into the quarterfinals, and well, for the guys up front, do you think we're going to see a little bit more processional than we saw? Obviously, certainly towards the end, knowing that, okay, they could afford to lose 2, 3, 4, 5 places if they had ran wide or something. Now, they lose 2, 3, 4, 5 places, all of a sudden, they could find themselves out.
I don't think so. I think they've set out their intentions in that last race. If there was any race to do it, it was like, right, let's not get spun and get knocked out on the first, round of the night. The fact that they've sort of had a good old tussle there tells me, I think they might wait until the final lap or something like that, but I think they're gonna have some fun out there.
Well, if it's half as good as what we saw at the final corner, Panasonic, on the last lap, I'm all for it. I'm completely and utterly down for it. And, well, it's not too far away from the next round. I've just got word in my ear that the session is just about starting up, and, well, we're going to see late starts, or we're going to see going early. What do you think's about the strategy around here? I
think they'll go as late as they possibly can, just because of the length of the straight, right? So going early just means the guys are just going to get in that slipstream a bit earlier and got more chance of making moves into turn 1. So, yeah, I think the circuit as it is makes you hold what seems to be forever, and I think they'll So Alex again will happily do that. Seemed to work well for him last time.
Well, it did.
He went and they immediately sort of started battling behind, so he was able to get a few tenths clear and things like that, and then just naturally they just caught him back up with the draft and things like that. So, but I think yeah, so maybe he's perhaps trying to time it so he goes just before it goes green, 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 just so that he gets a little jump on them.
Well, yeah, because come turn 1 and race 1, I think he was about 4 tenths clear already, which is a considerable margin by the time you reach to turn 1. But as you said, kept bit by bit catching up. But wow, I mean, let's find out. I mean, can they make it through? Who's going to make it through? Who's going to book their place on the plane? We're not far away from finding out who's going to make it to the live final, the 24 hours of Daytona. You ready for this one?
I think so.
Wow. Stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly after this break. We'll see you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Points that they're finishing on. Welcome back, and wow, what an entertaining first race of this evening. Who will lose in the second one? Will we lose any more big names? We've seen before, there's only one mistake away from dropping out. But some real drivers looking in form, making progress in those latter stages. And just to keep you updated on the points situation, as we started to touch on it previously, so obviously out from this race was the likes of Lerner, Iglesias, Casluedo, Varna, Antunes, Lehook, Lopez, and Labrige. So, as things stand at the moment, Labrige, who coming into this round was running in 7th, he finishes on 66 points. Varna, who came in, he was tied for 2nd on 56. He finishes on 65 due to finishing last here tonight, 24th place pick, giving him 9 points. So it's looking pretty much like those guys are out of the running completely now.
That's crazy. Even Jonas being beaten by Florian in the end. Yeah. You'd think no chance, like Florian really didn't do too much, but just because Jonas had that absolute bottom blast in this one just made it all the difference. So yeah,
he's gone from finishing 2nd at Laguna Seca, I was going to say Sebring now, but it's Laguna Seca, to now he's out of the running, and it's not the Fuji that he was certainly hoping for. And I think even if he hadn't have quite made it through, I mean, he would have picked up 16 points for finishing 17th, which would have given him half a chance. But due to only picking up 9, that is him out. As you mentioned, Florian Labrige in the end beating him, and he was behind him in the championship standings coming into this round. So still in the running to make it. Obviously, Talvar, who we've mentioned, Caruso, he had a good race 1, finishing 3rd in the end. Ruben Bonga still in play. Likewise is Pastor. Barneveld too. Lafuente still in the fight. Sanchez, it's going to be tough against him, for him. And likewise Cooper Webster too, as they're on 43 points and 41 points coming into this round respectively, but still not completely out of the running. I mean, for those two, with 32 points for a victory, that would put them on 75 and 73 points respectively. So, I mean, they will have to have other events go their way, but we've seen it happen before. I know we've spoken about it numerous times tonight. There's every chance of them making it through. It's tough, but there is every chance. You never quite know, do you, really, Alex? You never quite know. You never know until that checker flag goes, and we see who's actually made it into the final as well.
Exactly. I think just because of the nature of how close the points are, it's going to be very, very tricky. So you see what happens to him as well. They can't see it on camera right now, but you know, Sam's cursing in the background because you're messing up with his spreadsheet for the points, you see.
I know, yes, I've added extra columns in, and yeah, he's broken it for me.
I can see him in the reflection in the glass. Look at he's fuming.
But no, we know who. Well, we've got some of the key names in there that we know about, so that's not too bad. And well, of course, I'm guessing this is partly down to post-race penalties, where there was a few incidents being looked at by the stewards. Let's bring you a little bit more information on that very shortly, as well as to who's finished where. But not far away from race start. So, Florian Labrige, he picked up a free place penalty. So that changes things around a little bit. That changes things around definitely a little bit as to who's finished where in the championship standings. So I think that now means, if I am correct, that Jonas is actually going to finish. Yes, he does. Jonas actually now finishes one ahead of Labrige, with Labrige now being on 64 points and Varna being on 65. So that does help him ever so slightly, but even so. And this is the trouble, isn't it, with these 1 point increments between each of the places. So 32 points for a victory, 1 point for finishing, well, last when we had the obviously the max grid in the first round. It's so tight with so little difference that every place counts. And I think maybe that's a little bit why we're starting to see a bit more of that frantic fight, because the drivers know that's it. It's all or nothing in this round.
I mean, even out of the points, that's why they're fighting hard, because, out of the eliminator stage, you know, so if they're sort of 17th and below, like, they're still fighting hard because they can get some extra points. And who knows who might get removed from this at this stage. They could still end up in the top 4, you know. But it can still, mathematically, like, Jonas can still make it.
He can. It's going to be incredibly tight, and well, I don't think.
I mean, I probably need to backtrack on that. I haven't got my calculator.
I know. I'm just trying to.
You know the point I was trying to make is.
I'm trying to use my mental abacus right now to try and. Is he right? Can Jonas still make it through? Well. Ooh, it's good. No, he's still well within a chance, so it's not all done and dusted. Let's take you through your grid. It's slightly jumbled up there, as it normally carries across from the results from race 1. So I'll give you a bit of combination for that one. So we're going to have a little bit of a change around to get them into the correct order. I'll see Sanchez starting from pole, and that means that. Well, actually, no, it's appearing on one of my screens as correct, and not on the other. So, yes, so Sanchez starts from pole with Cooper Webster on the front row with him. Caruso, he's on the second row with Dane Warren. And then we've got another of the Audi. Audi's going really strong around here. 3 in the top 5 with Marciano of Altus. Reina Talvar first to 3 BS Custom. There we go. It's updated itself. The magic of live TV. There you go. It's confirmation for you. Sanchez, front row with Cooper Webster. Caruso. So it's on the side is fellow countryman Dane Warren. Marciano alongside Talvar. Then an all BS plus competition row of Barnabal and Bonga. Luca Rubilar's got Norby Kiss for company on row 5. La Fuente starts alongside another one of his teammates. That is Daniel Pastor. Victor Vedette. There's Lucas Muller for company. With Julian Suenan and Pablo Lopez rounding out the 16-car grid. Here in the quarterfinals. And not long away from finding out who is going to make it through into the semis. Top 8 progress as they round Panasonic and begin the long wait behind the Porsche 911 safety car for it to pull in so we can go green, so we can go racing for the second time today. It builds the anticipation, it builds the nerves. Sat waiting, and you see just that long wait for it to come in.
I mean, even just to get the pace car out of the way.
Yeah, it feels like it lasts an absolute eternity. There we go, it's finally in. Sanchez controls the pace. Will he go early? Will he go late? It's looking like he's going to go late. He gets on the loud pedal, he goes, and Webster instantly tags in behind him as Sanchez moving around on the race down to the line. Is that bump drafting going on between the two Audis? No, Caruso pulls out as Warren trying to make some moves there as attempting a free wide down into turn 1. They think twice about it. It's 2 wides are plenty. A bit of a free wide in the background there with 2 of the Williams cars involved in that. But BS Plus competition just locking out that midfield. Everyone just getting away and remaining as they were. It's only the RAG and Door Esports cars swapping around. Warren again. Warren around there at turn 3.
Man has no luck at all. I think, I mean, he made it further than yesterday, but this is where he departed in round 1 as well. He'll be gutted. Yeah. Poor Dane. I feel so bad. I know I'm chuckling and things like that. It's not really. It's just because of. It's how can you have so much bad luck?
It's more through nerves and feeling sorry for the Australian. As it battles it. Wow, that's Kiss having a good look up the inside there, and that makes progress. Oh, spinner in the background. Is that Muller?
Cars around.
Yeah, that's Muller for it.
Lucas around, unfortunately.
Warren did get going again though, so. Applying your tactic of knowing this is not over until it's over, Alex. And he's about a second behind.
He's right at the back of the pack. If a few more of them hammer each other out, you never know. So there's quite as much time on this one though. Only 15 minutes, so he's really got to go for it. I mean, he made some serious ground in the last race. So yeah, come on, Dane. Let's see what you're made of, mate. And let's have you try and work your way up into that top 8. That will be mightily impressive.
And due to him sliding off as well, there's a real gap opened up between second and third. You can see it there. Deep dark chasm with a gap between the pair of them as Kiss up the inside of Pastor. This in the battle for 10th. There's Violette just sneaking through. Yeah, just seeing the gap emerge in front of him, and the RAG driver. Thank you very much. And he's even going to have a go. Is he? No, I thought he was going to have a go right around the outside there of Kiss.
Yeah, Nobby back straight through. And yeah, let's say these guys are in a critical phase right now as well. They're a couple of seconds behind, and they really need to close on the back of La Fuente if they're going to have any chance of making it through to the semi-finals.
And wow, as it stands, Rubilar is under a lot of pressure right now. He's in 8th, and he's in that last position to make it through. You see La Fuente right behind him in this train. Kiss leading the charge in 10th place. So everyone's trying to close up that gap right now, which currently stands at a shade under 2 seconds. So it's a lot of work to do as we see the replay of the start. This is why. Oh, it was just a bit of contact there. Was it the Aussie netcode coming in?
Possibly there. You don't want to be on the outside, and I'm not exactly sure who he was side by side with. It was certainly one of the Altus cars.
It would have been Jordan Caruso.
So was it Jordan? Yeah. So.
Australian on Australian.
Yeah.
You think they'd be safe? You know, safety in numbers between the pair of them. But talking of Warren, we're right on board with him right now. So we head down.
This is Pablo Lopez, but he's having a look on the inside.
I think he's surely going to get him. And there you go. Is it Job? Oh, it's a spinner. That's one of the Williams cars.
Not what you want to see, Pablo.
That's Pastor gone. Wow.
Well, maybe that makes a difference as well.
Well, I'm going to have to break out the abacus, Alex, because Pastor was one of the... So coming into tonight, he was sitting in 5th in the championship on 53 points. Ooh. It all got a little bit interesting all of a sudden. And it's this chops and changes around and evolves constantly. As we look back right now from Alejandro Sanchez, Lucas Muller, he is out of proceedings, so he will lock in his place in 16th. Obviously, as well down on points coming into this evening, only on 5. So that's him. He was already out of the equation anyway. As we see this battle right now going on over, well, 3 cars over the last 2 Puente. Fuente up the inside there of Rubelar, but Rubelar holds it around the outside. He's going to have the inside line, or is he to the next one? No, he's not. And that is Lafuente through. Lafuente up into the top 8.
Lafuente, one that needs to get into the finals tonight to try and make it to Daytona if he's going to.
It's his only hope whatsoever. And well, you can see just how eager Sanchez was to hold the inside line against Webster there. That Red Bull Audi is brimming with confidence after that opportunistic move on the final turn of the last race. He's looking to make his way up and get into the lead and try and control this one from the front. Sanchez is having none of it whatsoever.
Can I just take a moment to talk about Fuji as a circuit?
Go for it.
Just look at the background shots that we've had, a couple of them. Just like, where do you want to build a racetrack? Yeah, why not? You know, like, it is amazing. Like, I think I'm going to have to put that on one of my bucket list tracks to go and see in the real world, because it just looks amazing.
It is, you know, the foothill of Fuji Mountain. We've got the rolling hills. It's one of the most picturesque circuits. It's in world motorsport. It's certainly not Paul Ricard, is it? In terms of that's flatless. You know, let's paint some lines on the car park and go racing there, to quote Sebastian Vettel. And sort of see them heading out of Panasonic out onto the start-finish straight, and you're going to see them hug the inside, practically go into the pit lane at the start. That is how much Sanchez does not want to give up that inside line. He's not giving Webster a millimetre, let alone an inch.
Yeah, he wants no opportunity, although
I'll say yes, Webster has.
But he goes in deep.
That's it. Webster's through. He's got it. He's got it done.
Sanchez a little worried there. I think actually made the mistake, and he thought perhaps he needed to go a little bit deep.
Well, Webster normally the man who goes down under, but Sanchez it was this time, and now Caruso right in the fight of these two. Sanchez going to lose another place here, and from Webster there, you really saw the mind punt being employed, where he just followed and played those mind games and forced Sanchez into making that mistake.
Yeah, I wonder if Alex is worried, like, oh, if he has a look here and he's a bit close, this could be a little bump that I
could be courteous
to fight from. So
yeah, it's a lesson you want to be doing at this stage is, you know, falling outside that top 8. As we ride aboard the Fuente, that is Rimbonga in front of us in one of the free BS competition. Oh, there's contact, and that's around. Oh, that's Bonga out. Here is it, because I tell you what, Rubelar's trying to make his way through. He's okay for the moment. I've just got visions of him doing the full 360, but look who's behind. Kiss is now into this battle. So what we saw earlier in race 1, where they started battling, was they started dragging the cars into the battle behind them.
Yeah,
so what was a 2-way battle has now evolved into a 3-way battle and now turned into a 4-way.
And I wonder if the stewards are going to get involved in this one as well, because that, you know, is a transfer position.
I think they're good. Well, they were almost looking like a bit of a free wide in the background there, but well, hold on, that's Sanchez. He's turn 1 is not his friend right now, because that's Caruso through, or is it? Is it headed into Coca-Cola? No, Sanchez holds on to it for now, but further down, La Fuente, it's advantage him. He's in 7th. That's the safest place to be in this group of 4 cars. 2 making it through. Right now it's La Fuente and Rubelar. Bonga and Kiss work to do to make it through, but Bonga instant reply, or at least attempts it. Can't quite get his nose up the inside, Alex. 9 minutes complete, 6 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out again to anyone that's tuning in for the first time, we do have live stewards. It's an independent group that are looking at it, and they can make decisions post-race as well to affect the results, so they can give somebody actual place penalty, and then everybody gets promoted above them, so that could affect the gridding for the next race. So yeah, it's what's showing on the screen now is not necessarily be the case, but of course they might rule it as a racing incident or something like that. I'm just saying, just to inform people that, you know, there are people that will be looking at it.
It's not over. Well, it's not over effectively until we start the next race, is it? Where they're constantly reviewing things and getting ready. Sanchez, well, getting up close and personal with his best friend, the pit wall, once again. As Caruso not able to get it past on the previous lap. But yet again, we're seeing when there's a battle going on, how quickly the cars behind then get drawn into it. As Violette, that's on. Oh no, hold on.
Dane going through.
That is, isn't it? And what a recovery from Warren. He's got 2 seconds to make up in 5 minutes. I mean, he's had an astounding, at least, drive. He looked completely out. He kept going. And I suppose now he's just got to drive the wheels off that Porsche 911 GT3 and then pray something happens in front of him that he can pick up some scraps here.
Yeah. Nico Rubelar as well, got a little bit of pressure. Losing a little bit of touch on La Fuente ahead. I mean, that will help with a decent run on the main straight. But yeah, he's definitely going to be under the cosh, I think, from Ruben as we're getting into the business end of this race.
Well, don't discredit Norby Kiss as well, because he's incredibly close.
Different angles, different lines.
The same result, though. They both seem to have got a cracking exit off the corner as Bonga right now just playing those mind games, having a bit of a look, sticking his nose in, trying to just distract Rubelar, who's, well, not a bit of a glance there across into his mirror, but not looking phased whatsoever. Full concentration on what's happening ahead of him. Glance across to his mirrors again. There's Sanchez up at front. Caruso still not able to quite get past, and in doing so, Marciano now, and another one, the Audis. The Audis seem to be the better car around here because there's 3 of them in the top 4. It's only Sanchez and the Lamborghinis. A review of incident between cars 51 and 96 being looked at right now. So that's Daniel Fuente and Ruben Bonga. It is.
I feel like it would get looked at. I say it's put Bonga in outside a transfer position, so do you know what I mean? It's got to get looked at. So
it's got to. And we've only got 3 minutes exactly remaining out of the 15.
Cooper looking very strong. Like, since he's overtaken, he's just been putting in purple sectors and flying away as well.
It's a clatter that curb
again.
It feels like the car physically gets airborne. It sounds like it, makes a bit of a jump as they absolutely smash into the curbs.
I definitely want my motion rig guy to jump down. I just want to see the driver just go.
I feel like one of those bucking Broncos you get, rides. There's Bonga definitely playing the aggressing probing game as you see Cooper Webster and the way he's pulled away.
Yeah, just pushing up nicely. Alex under absolute pressure, weaving and doing everything he can to try and keep the draft from eating him up.
Yes, he has. 2 Alsa's cars starting to gang up on him right now.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the Audis are looking very strong.
They are.
Like, all 3 of them right here,
I'm really happy because the Audi, it's just been so unloved, so out of favour. It's great to see it returning to form and being one of the more favourable options here on iRacing. I know we spoke a little bit about it last night, but this is really, really showcasing that the Audi is back and it's able to achieve great results. So on board with Caruso. And that is what, half a second to Sanchez looks like. And I'm a bit worried, Alex, because it's all just died down. It's gone quiet, which normally means it's about to kick off.
And
coming up to the final lap, and I think that's going to be the trigger.
now Warren, interestingly,
11th, that was an impressive comeback.
but when he got into 11th past Violette, he was 2 seconds behind Kiss. He's now only 1.3. So he's taken 7/10 out of him over the course of like the last lap and a half.
And he's going to have to do them all on this lap. I think his only chance for actually to progress right now is these 3, and hope that there's a penalty for La Fuente.
Wow, white flag is in the air. 1 lap left. You've got to give it absolutely everything you've got, Dane Warren, if you want to get into a transfer spot, to get yourself into the next round of the competition. And look how much time he's taken out. That's nearly like half a second. As Rubelard holds on. Bonga right on his tail, but Kiss is right involved. Warren is closing in too. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It's closing up. You can practically throw the perennial blanket over these 4. And who is going to get it? Well, they're roughly coming up to halfway around the lap. They're running out of time. They're running out of opportunities. This is it now. Warren's in the fight, and maybe it's just half a lap too late, or a lap too late for him to really, truly affect this. As these guys in front of him, they're going to make lunges. So maybe this is chance. Kiss knows he's in a bit of trouble. He's gone defensive. He doesn't want Warren to capitalise for something.
That's a big old moment.
Well, he's held on to it. Despite it, he's scrolling left, right, and centre as he's trying to find some grip there. Out in front, Cooper Webster. Well, he's won this one and an absolute canter. And that Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports car. And he's going to claim victory. Race 2 of this evening with a weave across the line. Sanchez is going to hold off those 2 Altus cars. Caruso and Marciano. Talvar makes it through. Likewise does Barneveld. But what is happening further back? Sanchez, yes, he's going to hold on to it. It's that camera angle, making it a little bit closer. He's trying to look in the background. I think yes, Rubelard holds everyone off. Bonga is out. Kiss is out. Warren is out.
Provisionally.
Or are they?
Provisionally.
Or are they?
I mean, La Fuente looks in. If it's just a 1-place pen, then they just swap Rubelard and La Fuente around, and that's kind of that. But was it severe enough to have more?
And is it just a 1-place penalty?
This is the thing, we don't know, so...
We don't.
I think this is going to be one we're going to have a producer in our ear tell us what goes on when
keeping us updated.
when we're on that stage, I think.
Keeping us updated on what's happening. So let's run you through your provisional results in the quarter-final. Webster claiming victory. Sanchez, Caruso and Marciano in the top 4. We mentioned 3 Audis there in the top 4. It's only Sanchez in the Lamborghini that's really disrupting the dominance from Audi here today. Talvar, not so dominant here at Fuji compared to last night at Sebring. He finishes 5th. His teammate Barneveld in 6th. And La Fuente and Nico Rubelard of Williams and Arnage respectively make it through into the next round. For now, this still could change between those guys. Ruben Bonga is out. Likewise, Kiss, Warren, Violette, gutting for Violette, Swennen, Pastor is out, Lopez too, and of course Lucas Miller, who we lost earlier on due to his retirement. Wow, we're going to head into another break. We're going to head back to the studio and try and unpick what's happened and work out how this all pans out here from Fuji.
Right.
Ozzy said that's a little adventurous going down the outside. Yeah, he's got to get that position. Probably gonna lose another one. Yeah. That was a very brave move.
Well, that move
right up.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going at it, and the blocking that was going up there from first place there. We're going to get a replay of it, yeah. Darted right to the inside as we get a replay here, coming through turn 9, and he throws the block on him.
Welcome back, and breaking news for you. Daniel Fuente of Williams Esports has picked up a free place penalty. Now means he does not make the cut after finishing 7th. Ruben Bonga, the BS Plus competition, he's back in the fight, and he was tweaking the points in the break to try and understand exactly what was happening. I was saying to Alex, he's out now, that's it. I don't see him making his way onto the plane. All of a sudden, game on again. He's still in with a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So good to see the stewards reacting to something that went on track quickly. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be some objections and things like that go on.
Oh yes.
But unfortunately, the stewards' rulings are final. They're independent from any of the teams, so it's kind of is what it is, unfortunately. So yeah, be a bit gutted about that, especially after his performance off of round 1, not to make it, because we looked at the points and puts him on, I think it was it 62 or 72?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So it's very, very unlikely now, based on the people that are still remaining, that Daniel's going to be able to make it to Daytona.
It's going for him, isn't it? Because like you say, after that dominant display at Laguna Seca,
he got really unlucky yesterday.
He did, yes.
To be fair, because he got turned, I think, if my memory will serve me correctly. So
it was one of one of our sort of favourites, is wherever you a betting person, to make it through, and then all of a sudden, that's it. It's over in the blink of an eye. But that is how brutal this format is. It's all or nothing, and you've got to be, well, Jonas Varner said about how consistent you need to be with this format, but then equally, he's proved it right, because he's out.
Yeah.
He was out very early on, and we've now lost to Fuente. Daniel Pastor as well. I believe he's going to be out as too.
Yeah,
that's it. You go.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think there's still a lot of really good people in the mix. So we're just seeing there, like Dane. Unfortunately, I don't think Dane really had too much of an opportunity after 2 really sort of poor races. But what come back from him in this one as well, really repping it for the Porsche guys out there.
There's Pastor spinning around there, we just saw. But what a recovery drive from him, because he fell all the way to the back and just picked himself up, kept chipping away bit by bit, picking people off, got back into the fight. But I think he was just that 1 lap extra is what he would needed to try and make any progress. I mean, he had Norby Kiss ahead of him. He's no slouch whatsoever, and no mug.
I mean, we said in the comms, actually, that if he was able to get himself in front of those 3 cars, there was a chance if the penalty went the right way, and he would have done that as well. So, but just a little bit too much of an ask for. So yeah, Cooper. I tell you what, Cooper looked really, really strong as well. Put Alex under an awful lot of pressure, made him make a little mistake. I think Alex cooked his tyres there as well. And that's probably why he come under pressure, I think, from Caruso for a couple of laps until they kind of settled back down again. But yeah, it just goes to show that Audi looking really, really strong, and we definitely shouldn't count out Cooper for an overall win tonight.
There you go. It's Alex's prediction. Hopefully, the curse of the commentator does not kick in and strike. Most definitely. And wow, I mean, we've seen from the pictures there as well, a little bit previously. That's another overtake from Warren as he was picking himself up and making his way back through. I mean, Sanchez did not have a comfortable time in this second race. I mean, it wasn't exactly comfortable in the first race, but the quarterfinal, it was very uncomfortable for him.
I think we said in the last little break, you know, what were we going to see from the guys? Were we going to see people battling? And I sort of said, maybe they've set their intentions quite clear, and yeah, clearly they were going to battle early on and try and make some spots. They kind of broke away a little bit, I think, Cooper and Alex a little bit, and I think that's what gave Cooper, like, do you know what, I'm going to go for this. I'm not going to get immediately overtaken by going for a move, so he kind of went for it. And yeah, like I say, in the end, I feel like it was just kind of the idea of perhaps the netcode and a potential move is what kind of made Alex go a little bit deep into that turn one, like saying perhaps a little bit sketchy on the rears, and we know how sensitive they are now. Like, everyone has been talking about it, so and I think that's what we saw there, having to try and nurse them back into some sort of window so that he could continue to fight. But yeah, like I said, the huge stand-up for me is that the Audis actually look like they're a little bit quicker than the Lamborghinis here tonight.
Well, I think definitely showed in the last race, didn't it? 3 in the top 4 from Audi. Well, even one of our screens up there can't cope with the action. It's just blinking in and out.
Yeah. Too much excitement for it tonight.
Yeah, exactly. It just can't cope with it. And you talk about that, you know, the braking, and talking about, obviously, nice little segue into another one of our sponsors for this evening, VRS Virtual Racing School. The equipment that they provide, what sort of a difference does it make in terms of, you know, your driver performance and, you know, taking that sort of next over? I remember you saying earlier that, you know, you started off on the good old Logitech driving force. I was well, if I go really, really back to my real youth, it was the Microsoft Sidewinder.
Oh, wow.
Which is, yeah, there you go. It's really showing my age right now. And then on to, well, much more recent times, it was Logitech before I moved across onto low cell pedals. But it's the consistency and just able to take you up to that next level, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in terms of like what difference does it make for myself, like the best example I have ever been able to give, and there's a video to back up what I'm saying on the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel, you know, shameless plug.
Yep.
When sort of direct drives first came out, so I was racing in the Grand Prix World Championship on iRacing at the time. We were at Road America, and I think the build had made the car really tricky through the carousel corner. Like, you could barely hold on to it, and you know, you wanted the setup to be flat out basically through there, and 80% of the time you had to have a lift or you would die. And I remember actually the first time I drove using a direct drive force feedback system, the first corner I was like, well, let's just see what it was like. And you're just able to feel the car so much better. The first 3 or 4 laps I just went through it flat out, like I need one of these in my life. Like, this has to be. And I think that's the kind of difference that the high grade equipment makes, and the evolution in technology in terms of like what you can feel, and actually then to sort of switch over to kind of like pedals. Just the load cell technology just got that much better, that the muscle memory that you can drive with just makes all the more difference about being super consistent. And unlike the old pedometer style pedals, I say old, they're still very much in use on some of the sort of entry level kits that you can get. It's just so much harder to get exactly the same amount of brake pressure time and time again for those corners. So yeah, this is where, like, you know, VRS are making a huge difference to people's just consistency, and that makes a big difference. Like, being able to drive on the very edge of control consistently is making a huge difference for a lot of the fast guys out there, I think. So
where we've seen a few of the guys who've almost got it completely sideways to what looks like unsavable limits, is that where almost like with the direct drive system, where it comes into its own, where you're able to get the car back and feel where you don't have that seat of the pants feeling within sim racing unless you've got a full-on motion rig. You're able to feel what the car's doing through your hands rather than through your backside like you would do traditionally in a normal car.
Yeah, obviously in the normal car, yeah, you'd feel everything with the G-forces and things like that. I think to say all of the feed, all of what the drivers do is just through the force feedback is not accurate. They have two tools, and that is their eyes, and they are dialed in to whether or not the car is over rotating a little bit faster than normal. You know, it's like, oh, am I losing the back end? They see it as well as feel it as well. So they are, you know, and I don't think, again, I may be doing them an injustice, and I'm not a real driver or something like that, but I think, like, you know, if you sort of said to an IRL driver, those are the two tools you've got, they'd be like, no, I want my bum to feel that that's way better than trying to visualize it on my eyes. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about on the eyes. I want the bum, and I want the steering wheel and doing that. But yeah, it is a useful tool for them as well. But I have seen, like, people like throw the cars with the direct drives, and the thing just corrects itself. Like, you take your hands off and it just counter steers and just, steers out of it and just does its business, and they carry on. I mean, tyres are cooked, as we've seen with Alex, like, little thing, it does affect your performance, so they don't want to get it to that point, but it does give them the ability to go, do you know what, I'm getting enough information to know I'm just going over the limit, like, let's back it off a bit. And it's micro adjustments that they're making so fast, you know, they're just sort of feeling it, and it's like, whoop, you know, so it's crazy. And yeah, when I think back to my original days of, like, say, with my driving force GT, you wouldn't have had any of that. It's crazy how far the technology has
come from very much
on
binary off-on type aspect to now just micro improvements. And is it more with the direct drive? It's more about the fidelity, those sort of minor, you know, not being able to feel it, rather than the overall necessary strength. I mean, from the topper end equipment that is better, rather than, obviously we've seen a raft of newer, more entry-level direct drive systems come in, but whereas this is obviously much more, you know, higher end than those, is it more about that fidelity and being able to find those little bits of adjustments and feelings, rather than the necessarily overall strength of it?
I think it's an interesting point that doesn't get talked about a lot now with direct drive wheels, because it's almost seen as, you know, just, well, that's the standard in the industry. But again, talking back to sort of early days, we talked about how many essentially, like, notches there were in terms of for a full sort of 360 degree rotation, like how many points of input is it actually detecting. And the VRS guys probably going to shoot me, because I don't honestly know, like, how many, you know, points of sort of digital sort of response goes for a full 360 degree rotation of the wheel now, because it's just something that we don't even talk about, because they're so sensitive now, and that goes across the board with all the direct drive wheels, that it's just a non-issue. But back in the day, when you only used to have, you know, sort of 500 points, like, you know, little bits a turn made huge difference. When now it's so marginal, like tiny little adjustments. It's just like being in a real car, you know, like you make little adjustments in the car and everything has an effect, whereas it never used to. and it's just a standard feature these days.
And in terms of the pedals, I'm guessing that's, you say about the load cell technology, the way that that's improved, I'm guessing it must be a similar thing on that aspect as well, where you've got those more sort of notches, as you know, to use a nice layman's terms you used earlier. Yeah, you've got all those extra, like, micro increments.
Exactly that. They're just so much smoother on how they read your inputs, as opposed to what it used to be before. So all I'm really doing here is just showing how blooming old I am, aren't I, with using the old technology.
I was going to say, I'd
things
mentioned
like
Microsoft Sidewinder, so I'm just I'm showing my age a little bit as well
what
here.
are you talking about? No one knows this. All the young guys have no clue what I was on about.
Two old farts sat on the sofas talking about the good old days of sim racing and driving games. Well, boy, has it changed quite a bit since then. But also, you know, in terms of, like, the wheel selection, I know VRS have got their own wheel coming out. Obviously, there's different whips available and such like that. How much does that really affect it, especially at the sort of level? Is it personal preference a little bit? And
I mean, I'm smiling because I'm just thinking of again of a story in my past of how it can make a difference. Again, so I think it's all about personal personal preferences. And I remember having a choice of rims that I could use, so a nice big replica BMW wheel and a small F1 style rim as well. And I was luckily enough to do a little bit of oval work with Rael Fowler back in the day, and he was doing like this sort of development team, and I put my hand up and said, look, I quite fancy having a punt at going for sort of the oval world championship. Obviously I failed miserably because I never did it, but I was doing some laps with Ray and a few of the other guys in there, and I was on my big BMW rim, because I was like, it's got a big wheel, NASCAR, and I was like a couple of tenths off, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I cannot be a couple of tenths off around an oval on the same.
Oh, you just got to turn left a couple of times, haven't you?
Exactly.
That's what it is.
So I was like, so I just took my rim off, threw it away, and put my F1 rim onto it, and they were like, what, you put your F1 rim? And I was just like, and I just went fastest in the session. So rims really can make a difference, and that is just because I was just so used to it, how it felt, the weight of it meant that I could feel the car that much better. So to say, it can make a huge difference. So if any of you out there are just like, no, I will absolutely make sure I use the right wheel, trust me, try a different wheel or rim. It can make a huge difference. So.
And the amount of buttons that are available on rims as well, does that have much of an impact for yourself, or not so much? Or is it a bit more of a personal preference element?
And I think it really depends on what car is you're driving. If you're in a car that, all you've really got is, flashing headlights and pit lane limiter, then it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. But some of these new cars now have got, engine map for this and mode for that, traction control, ABS, brake bias adjustments, ARB changes, differential change. There's so much that you can tweak that, having all of these wheels of all these programmable buttons is just so useful. Again, I think when I sort of started, and even like the driving force, like GT had plenty of buttons, but you soon run out. And like now, I've seen some of them from the Sim Racing Expo just a couple of weeks ago. Like it's just like a work of art with the amount of buttons that they've got. So it's crazy. It
is amazing. What they're able to replicate and create. A few of them, obviously replicate in the real world. Obviously, having seen the VRS prototype as well for their rim. Double glitches on the back of it as well. Yeah, makes all the difference, I'd imagine, for likes of yourself. I'm guessing not so much for tonight. Obviously, rolling starts, but for the Formula drivers or anyone who's doing standing starts, must make a real difference of being able to use those.
I mean, I've got some great stories I can tell you about double clutches, Tim, but I'm not going to go on to it right now. We've only got 5 minutes until until the race starts. So get me going. They are so important. Like, I cannot believe that we didn't have double clutches maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Like, it was a huge thing when both hardware and software versions came out on the market. How anyone ever sort of did standing starts without them for the cars that needed them is just crazy. And it's just another example of technology just improving in the sim racing space to make the realism just that much better.
It's amazing how, like you say, it's caught up with, and now we're seeing it surpassing and going back in the opposite direction with manufacturers actually working with car manufacturers to produce their next level, their next generation of rims. It's absolutely crazy and fascinating, though. I'm sure your big wheel for the NASCAR definitely come in handy in something more like Euro Truck Simulator rather than the Formula wheel. I know a few that have done it, and it's a nightmare and ends in disaster when you come to do a 3-point turn or manoeuvre it into parking space, but that's by the by. We're going to head to a quick break. As I mentioned, not too far away now from the semi-final. 8 cars, only 4 are going to progress. Who's going to make it through? Who's going to lose out? Who's going to put their place on the plane to the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, where we'll have the grand final in January? Well, we're not far from finding out. We'll head to a quick break. We'll see on the other side. We'll be live trackside for the semis.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, and it is semi-final time. And after all of the, well, slight disruption and stewarding decisions which put a slight delay to proceedings, we're now not far away from getting underway and going green once again from Fuji. Well, Alex, updating with the points, that means obviously Lafuente, due to his penalty, now finishes in the standing. Well, will finish in the standings behind Daniel Pastor. Lafuente on 70, Pastor on 72. Now I'm just having a bit of a look of who we've got left. This is where it starts to get a little bit complicated and a bit tricky for some of them. So Sanchez, well, at worst he will finish on, well, that's 68. So he can finish ahead of both of the Williams guys, but needs to realistically make it into that final. Caruso, he's looking strong. So is Bonga too. Let's see, they came into the evening on 56 points. As things stand at the moment, they'll be on 71.
Talbot as well, Barneveld,
Yeah.
There's a lot that are looking very, very strong at this point.
So they'll be finishing on 80, apologies. So, yeah, it's take your pick, roll the dice, and absolutely go for it. Cooper Webster, I mean, he's looked strong all evening. He will finish equal with Pastor on 72 points. He will be on 73, but he needs to win this evening. And even then, it's going to be tight for getting him through because Barneveld is well ahead of him, and he would need basically Barneveld to pretty much finish last, stand any chance of making it through to the final.
Well, I think this is what we said when we first came back there as well, with Dalvar is still an opportunity for him not to book his place if he doesn't make it. It's looking more and more likely for him. Anyway, here's the grid.
It is indeed, as Webster lines up on pole after winning the previous race. Sanchez joins him on the front row. Then it's Caruso and Marciano, all outer second row of the grid, and all BS competition. Third row with Talvar and Barneveld, and then Rubila and Bonga line up on row 4 for Arnage and BS respectively. Ooh. 3 BS, 2 Alsace, an Arnage, a Red Bull, and an Apex Racing Team car. 3 Audis? I think surely, we've got to see more than one Audi in the final, surely. Well, as I say that, all it takes is one incident. We've got a shorter race as well. Obviously, the races get shorter as the evening goes on. It's so crucial, but it's advantage to those guys that are starting up front, Webster and Sanchez. We saw that in the previous 2 rounds, last Saturday and last night. They're where they need to be right now to make it as easy. Only the top 4 progressing because they've got 2 cars behind them that are going to have to scrap away in the form of the 2 Alsaces, with everyone else behind them that's we're going to be queuing up to get through, and I think we're going to see a bit of Altus being ganged up by BS.
I think that's going to be the interesting battle this first lap. I think, yeah, Altus versus BS. If Altus get a really good launch, the pair of them might be able to get at maybe like Sanchez, and then give them a little bit of relief. But otherwise, yeah, they're going to have to work together to fight off the BS guys here.
Well, the safety car is in. Webster controls the field.
Yeah, wait.
There we go. He's gone early. He has not hung around whatsoever. And Sanchez heads down low, covers off the inside, hugs the wall, creates the roadblock to prevent the 2 Altuses attempting to come through. And don't discredit those BX cars behind. But Sanchez under a bit of pressure as the 2 Altus head round the outside, but they're going to lose out as Talvar has sneaked past Marciano there to disrupt that Altus lockout. A 3rd and 4th, but up in front, Webster and Sanchez now scampering away. We look back from Caruso in the Audi to the Lamborghini of Talvar for BS. Oh, he's wiggled, he's gone. Oh no, he saved it, but he's dropped one place. Talvar has got ahead.
And up the inside, who is that?
That's Barneveld.
Yep.
That's Barneveld. Wow, Marciano still fighting back and they're scribbling around at the back, but don't discredit Enrico Rubala. What can he do for Arnage? You can see it all happening in front of them. He's got front row seat tickets for, as well. Bonga having a bit of a look inside there of Barneveld. Not sure you want to be having to go at your teammate, but it causes Rubala just to run wide, so it may well just help them this stage of the race. Wow, what a start here. This is by all means nowhere near finished, but Webster and Sanchez could not have hoped for a better first lap because they've opened up a gap, and that is exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. The guys for this 10-minute race are just going to be trying to hunt them down. Cooper having a little weave just to try and break the draft, and don't know if Alex is too worried about that right this second. We'll be just wanting to go with them to try and build a gap to Talvar behind. So, but yeah, right now we've got one from Sanchez straight up the inside. I take it all back.
Well, is he going to get caught on the switchback though? Webster has a bit of a look, but he can't make it work. And the Red Bull driver, as he has to back out of it there, Sanchez, it's advantage to the Apex Racing Team Lamborghini as he now controls things, and it's roles reversed in terms of the quarter-final results, with Sanchez getting ahead of Webster. What could he do? Can he break away? I don't think he daredn't just try and back Webster up into Talvar, because it could go horrifically wrong for Sanchez.
I don't think so. I think it's just going to be straight out fight, and I think Alex is just was fairly happy trying to defend the last race, made that mistake, and feels like if he can get back to the front, then he's got the high ground for the finals. We've seen how important it is to have that first place on the finals. But yeah, Talvar, I mean, right now we've got 2 Lamborghinis, 2 Audis, 4 teams in the final as it sits right now, which actually I think would make for an epic final.
Oh, definitely. That's exactly what we want to see. You know, it's a mix of cars, mix of teams, everyone with nothing to lose, everything to gain. Sanchez brings, well, a different line to what he experienced previously. It's always been hugging that inside pit wall. This time, it's the weaving line, trying desperately to break the draft, which begins to snake behind him. Everyone moving around. Let's keep it today. Talvar, Caruso, 3rd, 4th, respectively. Last of the drivers. I mean, the only thing going for Caruso right now is that Marciano is in 5th. He is directly behind him. And what with Caruso being in a much stronger chance, but realistically, Marciano's not going to be able to make it through to the grand final at Daytona, so surely he acts as rear gunner for his teammate here to ensure that he gets through into the final and books his
I think if
away.
Jordan gets to the final, he has made the final at Daytona. That is his place locked in,
Yes.
I think, for sure. So yeah,
Yes, it is. Yes.
Simone definitely got a job to do right now. Like I say, we've got Barnefeld in sort of 6th place in the championship, not many points behind Caruso. That's the tricky one. Like, so, and he is sat right behind Simone right now. So that's the job that the Altus driver has to do, is keep him behind him. Maybe that stops Barneveld making it to the final.
Well, I'm just going to try and do some brief maths while we're just reaching half race distance. Sanchez leads from Webster. Talvar 3rd, Caruso 4th. They are the top 4 progressing at the moment. Marciano 5th. As was said, right where it needs to be, behind his teammate. Barneveld 6th, Bonga 7th, and Rubala still sat in 8th. Is the Arnage driver, unable to make any progress at the moment. Now, what can we have? It's settling down, but this worries me, Alex. I said it in the last race. I'm certain it's going to be no different here whatsoever. Is that when it calms down, it's only moments away from kicking off. As we look back from Sanchez, that gap to Webster, he's maintaining it 3 attempts, isn't he?
Yeah, quite comfortably. I mean, he didn't lose it last time in the last race either, I think.
No.
So I can't see him doing it again. I think we'll see Cooper go for another move, or certainly get a run like we did in the last one.
Well, I think we're certainly going to see him make a run. I mean, they've got nothing to lose whatsoever, have they? I mean, as things stand at the moment, if they were to finish exactly as they are, and in the final as well, top 4 heading through would be Nico Talvar, Rainer Talvar. I'm combining drivers here, having a complete moment as they're weaving down the start-finish straight. Talvar will head in up front. Let's take a look at this replay. What are we going to see? So this is what happened earlier on.
This is a start, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it was a brilliant start from Webster. He caught everyone napping, and it was worrying for Sanchez because those 2 Altus cars were all over him like a rash. But when he just squeezed into the outside, they got tangled in with the BS cars behind.
I mean, I think the fact that they were teammates is what made them survive that. If it had been sort of a different team, they may have been a little bit more squeezing going on out there.
Now, Alex, if they finish exactly where they are, Talvar heads to the final, Caruso heads to the final, Barneveld and Bonga, the grand final at Daytona. Those 4 head through.
No, you missed Jordan. Jordan on 85 points as it stands as well. So Jordan makes it through.
Yes,
Bonga does, but Barnefeld doesn't. So that's the thing. So right now, Ryan needs to get past the Altus car that he tucked up right behind and see if he can't have a go at getting into this final.
Okay.
Yeah, he cannot afford to not make the final. He's got no chance of beating Jordan if that's the case. Or making the final, because even Bonga he won't be.
It's tough for, including tonight's points, I believe from my calculations that Bonga and Barneveld can make it to Daytona. Potentially. But it's not quite over until the fat lacings, as the saying goes. And right now, Sanchez under pressure from Webster. As we come down into turn 1, it's tight as Rubala having a bit of a look up the inside of Bonga there. That would affect things as we stand. Webster up in front, all just zipping back into place, exactly where we are, holding the line as this. I'm sorry, no, it's not going to be. We're going to have one lap, I believe, after this one. And one more set of opportunities for everyone to have a bit of a shuffle around. With Sanchez now starting to look a bit more confident, a bit more dominant here.
I wonder if Talvar thinks about trying to back up Caruso and Simone so that Barneveld can get a run. Doesn't look it right now,
It
but I
doesn't,
wonder
no.
if there is a bit team tactics.
I just think the background, Bonga's just headed wide.
Just
so
one-
Rublar's through.
So 1 point makes the difference.
It can
Not
do
doesn't
indeed.
affect anything at the moment, but
It does affect things. Well, so yeah, it doesn't truly affect things directly at the moment. The moment, as things stand for tonight, Bonga is still out with Rublar through. We head down the start-finish straight. White flag in the air. 1 lap left to go here in the semi-finals. And that's
such a long straight.
It is. The concentration of, look, you see his eyes moving around there from Sanchez's webcam of, oh, is that Webster going to have a bit of a look? No, he's just trying to cover off Talvar. They've run it in deep, and Sanchez just seemed to slow the pack up there on the apex, which has compressed everyone behind them up. And can we see what a last lap overtake? We saw it in race 1 where it all kicked off into the final corners. Well, they're onto the brakes again. It is advantage right now towards Talvar. Caruso and Marciano trying to work together to try and just knock Talvar out, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it because they're fast running out of time. They're over halfway through the lap. It's through the chicane that we're missing out tonight. It's really brought this layout's really brought some great action for us. A couple of corners left. Sanchez holding on. Just got Panasonic left to go. It's all looking good for him. He rounds that, just looking in the background. Is there anyone making any moves? No, I think Marciano's done enough to hold off the pack against Caruso. And this means your wishes come true, Alex. It's almost like your Christmas wish, isn't it? 4 teams, 2 manufacturers into the final. Sanchez through, Webster second, Talvar third, Caruso in the last of those places. Comes home fourth. Apex Racing Team, Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports, BS Plus Competition, and Altus Esports into the final. Really, I tell you, I'm so excited. We haven't even covered the results from this race, the classified ones, but I'm already excited for the final, and we haven't even set the servers up yet.
I was going to say, I feel like the final is going to be a great race. Just standalone on its own. Those top 4 are locked in terms of their points that they're, well, not their points, but the finishing inside the top 4 for the night for sure. So yeah, they're just going to go at it, I think. I don't honestly think that Sanchez and Webster are going to be able to make it to the final.
I don't think they are, but from my maths, they're not going to be able to make it to Daytona. But we see things change around due to stewarding decisions. I think we should be safe from semi-finals here. But here are your results. Sanchez, he's through. Webster second. Talvar and Caruso, also the drivers through in third and fourth respectively. Marciano, he's out. Likewise, Barneveld, Rublar and Bonga. Well, we're going to take a look at some of the highlights and head to a quick break. We'll be back on the other side. We'll be back in the studio to update you on what's going to happen going forward.
and that comes off. Game over right away.
Wow, look at this. Ozzy said that's a little adventurous going down the outside. Yeah, he's got to get that position. Probably gonna lose another one.
Yeah.
That was a very brave move.
Well, that move
brought him right up.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going at it, and the blocking that was going up there from first place there. We're going to get a replay of it, yeah. Darted right to the inside as we get a replay here, coming through turn 9, and he throws the block on him.
Welcome back after what was, well, a bit more of a calmer semi-final, I think you could say, than what we've seen in the previous 2 rounds. But even so, it's cat amongst the pigeons again, and where we saw the domination of BS competition last night, we only got 1 driver in the final, with Barneveld and Bonga. They're out.
Yeah, it's certainly going to mix up the final tonight. I think we know the reasons why it was a bit more of a calm affair, I think. I think BS have certainly run the numbers and knew what they needed to do to lock their drivers in. So, I mean, there's no confirmation yet, but we feel like both Bonga and Barneveld have locked their position into the final with that result, even though they've not made the final. So.
Yes, so they've made the final at Daytona.
Yes.
Even though there's so many finals, it's crazy. Yeah, so although they're not into the final of round 3, they've actually made it to Daytona. They've put themselves a slot, along with their teammate, Reina Talvar, and Jordan Caruso being the 4th driver as well, into the mix, who'll be heading to Daytona.
Yeah, so congratulations to those guys. Yes, great job and great season so far to get that. But what that does give us now is no hold bars final.
No, nothing to lose.
Let's have at it, guys. You know, let's give us everything you've got and just go out there and let's just have some amazing racing for the final. Like, it's not going to affect anything. I mean, okay, yes, there is some individual prize money up for grabs this one, so we better not forget that. So
there is indeed, Alex.
The 300 for the winner, and hopefully Tim, you can fill me in for the other
200 for second, $100 goes to third place. 4th place, well, you walk away with absolutely nothing in terms of prize money. Other than, well, I suppose prize to say that you've made the final. Of course, just to run you through the format for the final shootout, 3 races, 4 points for the winner, 3 points for second, 2 for third, 1 point for finishing 4th. When those points are totted up across the 3 races, and then we decide who is going to walk away with the prize money for this evening. Well, it was interesting last night, wasn't it? Because going into that final race of the 3 from the shootout, 3 drivers all tied. I mean, Reina Talvar, he'd walked away with it. It was domination from him, but everyone else were tied on points.
Could have gone any way last night in terms of, you know, who finished second. So, and I hope we just go one better tonight, and it could go anywhere in that final race for who can win the night. I think, you know, that's what I want to see. But yeah, but like I say, my little dream for the competition was to have obviously multiple manufacturers, multiple teams in these finals, and really mixing it up so there's no team orders or anything like that. Getting out there and just people just elbows out and going for it.
You got your wish come true.
Oh, you.
And interesting as well, I mean, I know we spoke about it a little bit during the previous break, but when we spoke to Jonas, obviously Ivana previously of Door Esports, for the first round from Laguna Seca a week ago, he said that consistency seemed to be the thing. And interestingly, if he hadn't have fallen off the road and finished last, then he would have been heading to Daytona. He would have been in the mix still.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if he'd have made it
through to the semis,
well, anywhere into the semis, he'd have definitely have made it there because of where he was at the start of the night. So
but he was in second overall in the champ. Well, tied for second with Caruso and Barneveld, but because of it, you fall off the track, and I think he's probably
maybe ruining his decision of they didn't use, the tactics that he used at Laguna was, I'm not going to attack anyone, I'm not going to defend, see what happens. And that evening he walked away with second from it. So what did you think a little bit with these sort of formats? It's getting wise to understanding how the drivers are reacting behind you and around you, because you're normally so much used to much longer races when you do race against them, so you see a different side of a driver come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a totally different concept, isn't it, of how they need to race these short races. They can't afford to wait, they've got to go for it straight away. So I think when we were talking to the guys, they were sort of saying, yes, consistency is going to be important, but it's not just consistency in terms of just getting decent sort of points. It needs to be, I think, like semi-finals and above are the results that you needed. Like if you making it to every semi-final and into the final, you have a chance of making it to Daytona. If you're sort of quarterfinals, it's probably not going to be enough.
Wow. And as it's been shown tonight, there's just a few drivers that, you look at, well, obviously Johan hasn't joined tonight, Johan half, but Alejandro Sanchez, as much as yes, he's got into the final, which dropped out in these earlier rounds in the previous meetings, he's missed out. He's going to finish, well, the best he can finish on is 75 points, and Ryan Barneveld, who's the last driver to make it through, is going to finish on 80. So he's only 5 points away, which isn't realistically that far. All it took is just one of his results, and not getting caught up in one of those incidents of the rounds that ultimately saw him be eliminated at those respective stages, and he's off for a trip to America.
I'm sure I'm not going to hear the end of it, Tim. Frankly, I'm sure he's going to mention that in Discord, and I'm sure they're all going to be posting.
But he's equally, I suppose, he's not the only one as well who's. Well, both the Williams Esports drivers dominated round one. Bookies favourites for the rest of it. You would have put your house on them making it through, especially with Fuente, who won all but one of the races in round one. He's gone. And another one only to miss out, I think, by about 5 or 6 points. Yeah,
it's, like I say, I mean, actually, we didn't realise the value of having those good, consistent, how important they were. I think, we were debating whether or not, yes, drivers could do it with having, a couple of strong races, but actually, all three needed to be strong, and that's what's made the difference.
But even then, I suppose, if you look at the likes of Bonga and Barneveld, it seems to me that semi-finals, making through to there is the sweet spot. Yes, they obviously were into the finals last night, but especially in Bonga's case, didn't have the best results, finished fourth. So it's, even then, it's still not truly essential.
And I think because the points are so close, right?
That is the point. It's only 1 point difference between each of the places.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. So even like in semis, and maybe like where Sanchez is so close, and in the first round he finished was it 9th or something like that? So just out, so top of quarter-final positions. He sort of made it back to, I think, 11th or something like that in his other one. So he's super close, even being in the quarters. So swap one of those out for a semi, and maybe he's sending Bonga home as well. But that just goes to show. So like I say, he's kept it tight the whole way through, which is what I think we wanted from the series when it was kind of pitched. Like, how do we keep it interesting all the way to the very, to the very finals? So we haven't quite made it so that the final race makes a difference to who goes and who stays. Maybe we'll tweak it so next time we don't know until the final car crosses the line.
Wow. Even so, I mean, it's been an absolute brilliant spectacle, great fun, and I think it's been also, touched on it a little bit earlier, it's great seeing a different side to these drivers who have to play it, a little bit more of the long game, a little bit more passive aggressive, whereas it's not been full all out, nasty aggression, but that aggression level in terms of their racing has had to come out a lot more, especially for those places to make it into the next round.
It's a spectacular racing, Alex.
It's kind of a mixture, isn't it? Because, like you say, you've got the full-on aggression in terms of needing to make the moves because it's short sprint races, but also, like, yes, you need to be consistent, so you need to do that. So, are you better to survive and fight another day or something like that? So, absolute contrast, and that's where they have to find the balance.
I mean, that final corner of race 1, for me, that's some of the best. I know we're incredibly late in the year, but even so, it's some of the best set of overtakes I've seen the whole of this year. It's definitely up there.
Yeah.
With some of the best moves I've seen. It was just constantly evolving, left, right, centre, and the only way you could have truly worked out what order they were going to finish in was just roll the dice and see what happens.
And let's hope that's exactly what we've got to do for this final, I think.
Exactly. Definitely hoping that it's going to be that way. As we mentioned, prize money up for grabs, 300 for the winner, 200 for second, 100 first. Thanks very much to our sponsors, Coliseum and VRS, for enabling this great prize pool. And it's not just there for the finalists as well. Yes, they've got the trip to Daytona, which is well worth it, but 7,500 for the winner. Sorry, 5,000 for the winner.
Yep.
I wish it was.
So say they were.
Well, they'll definitely say 5,000, most certainly. 1.5 for finishing in second, and then 500 for third. So still lots of money up for the grabs for those drivers. Make sure to tune in for that one in January. But we've got the shootout from tonight. Stay tuned for that. We can head to a quick break, and afterwards we'll be trackside to see who's going to walk away with the prize money from this evening. See you shortly.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, and warm-up session just coming to a close. Not long away now from taking to the grid. 3 races, 3 chances to secure maximum points. Walk away with the prize money from this evening. Who will do it? Will be Talvar for BS competition. Will it be Kuroso for Altus? Cooper Webster for Red Bull? Would be Apex Racing Team's Alejandro Sanchez. Well, it's the Spaniard who starts on pole. Talvar joins him on the front row with Caruso and Webster. Straight. I think
that's wrong.
Yes, I think we might have a little bit of a Yuri around on the grid.
I think we had the same thing the last couple of nights.
Yes.
Something to do with the heat format, just messes with the grid a little bit. So maybe we'll keep an eye on it, actually, because I think last time Sound sent some end of lines just to get themselves organised.
We managed to get it sorted.
Some
plenty of corners and plenty of time to be able to have a bit of a rejig.
You say plenty of corners, it's like 2, 3, 4, maybe.
It's not too bad. Well, I'm just thinking this 1, 3.
Yeah, that should be enough. We'll see if it gets sorted. Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say, there we go, all sorting itself out very nicely. Thanks to our admin, Sam Fitzpatrick, for having a bit of a rejig of the grid. There we go. Sanchez just intimidating the safety car right now. As we head through penultimate corner, through into Panasonic. And then the long wait before the safety car pulls in. So, Sanchez and Webster on the front row. for Apex and Red Bull respectively. BS is Salvar, as Caruso for company on the second row. Lamborghini's on the right of the grid. Audi's on the left. Who's going to pick up the first win? 8 minutes. That is all we will be racing for in each of these finals. As they crawl past. It's V10s aplenty here in Fuji. And there goes the safety car. How long does Sanchez leave it? Does he go early? Yes, he does. No hanging around from the Spaniard. And he's looking to employ the tactics that we've seen in each of the finals so far. Across the 2 previous rounds, back up the 3 other cars into one another. Oh, aggressive move there from Caruso. Having a real good dart at the inside, and Talvar saying, "No, you don't have any of that. That's my part of the track. You're not having the inside line." But they're both applying pressure onto Webster, and Sanchez is scampering away right now. Like a mountain goat trying to make his way up. A clear face.
Moment.
Wow, well held Raider Talvar. But Caruso just not quite able to capitalise on that, and all while it's going on, Sanchez now 8 attempts up the road, Alex.
Yeah, cheeky little move as well from Jordan up the inside. Like I say, this is what I think we expected, because there was just no team orders being in play here as well. So yeah, Sanchez played the start really well, give a little bit of slipstream to Reina, and then switch to Cooper to make them battle into turn 1. It's given him a little bit of breathing space. I think he would have hoped that they carried on for a few more corners, but as it was, Cooper got himself clear into second now. Only 0.8 of a second is the gap. That's still within the draft range, so I think it might take a lap or 2, but I think we're going to see Cooper reel back in Sanchez, and we're going to have a showdown for this final lap.
Here we go. Let's find out, see how much Webster can close this one in against Sanchez. Sanchez, you bet your bottom dollar, he'll be weaving down the start-finish straight to try and break that toe. There you go. He moves left, he moves right. But these 2 at the back, they're locked in, they're locked on to one another, and Caruso is desperate to find a way past Talvar. Is he going to be on the brakes? Is he going to wait another lap? Is he going to wait for later? Well, here comes the lunge. He has a look up the inside. Talvar runs in too deep, and Caruso is surely going to head past up the inside. Advantage Altus.
Exactly what we saw with Sanchez and Cooper in the quarterfinals.
It is, yes. It is absolutely identical. That same tactic of trying to run them in deeper, outbrake themselves on the inside, and then just get on the switchback. We've got the better traction. Off the road up the road you go. At a position, Talvar. I'm trying to think now from the previous 2 rounds. I don't think he's the only driver to appear in all of the finals so far. And I think this is the first time he's been last.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
No,
I mean, I think the restart, he started last, did he? In the
yes,
and then
yes.
Through. So yeah, so
well remembered there, Alex. Well remembered. So there's definitely unknown territory for the Estonian right now. Let's see how he handles this one. There's gaps starting to emerge right now between himself and Caruso. That's about 0.4 of a second. And then about a second between Webster and Caruso. Sanchez, the gap is closing. It was 9 tenths this time last lap. It's now 7 tenths, and it is shrinking as the weaving and the snake down the start-finish straight. It's alive and well once again this time around. But Talvar not close enough to have a bit of a lunge this time. The Audi of Caruso has to think twice about it, but
yeah, Jordan needs a lap and a half this time, I think, to try and get back into a position where he might be able to drag up to Webster. But yeah, Webster is in that little sweet spot now, Sanchez with the draft, so he will really get pulled up towards him.
It's really showing the first and second sector, so first and third sectors, where there's straight sections to be able to make up this time. Because I mean, I know it's early on, so you can't really discredit him being purple sectors, but he was, a tenth or 2 quicker in each of those sectors, and that's why he's able to close up right now. So we're on the board with Caruso. You can see plenty of time marks there on the outside. People just running wide, slight mistakes creeping in. Telvar is still not able to really eat into that gap to Caruso. It's maintaining at about half a second. Meanwhile, Caruso is slowly slipping away from Webster. Webster is closing on Sanchez bit by bit, lap by lap. It's coming down a tenth at a time. But we're just over half race distance, Alex. I do wonder whether Webster's going to run out of time here, because that Lamborghini's looking a little bit more slippery in a straight line compared to the Audi.
I don't think so. I think he's right there come the last, well, this next lap. I mean, does that take us on to the last lap? Probably will do. So maybe that's his one and done opportunity to kind of get it done.
They're going to have one. I'm just trying to think.
This one and maybe another?
There'll definitely be another one. I'm trying to do the maths now quickly in my head as to whether there'll be another one after that. It's going to be close. It depends how they handle this one. So we look back from Caruso, Telvar. Again, do you think it's a similar situation with Telvar? Look, it is with Sanchez, just biding your time Webster on Sanchez, where just bide your time, wait for it, go for that last lap lunge, close the gap up then.
It's a bit more tricky for Rayner, of course, because Jordan is still getting the draft from the cars ahead, so he's not getting quite the same speed advantage. So he has to get right on the tail of Jordan to get a move done. So we're looking at like 0.3 of a second. So where he is now, about half, it's just not going to be enough to get enough of an advantage to make a move.
On board with Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports driver Webster.
Half a second this gap,
It's
this time
closing.
coming onto the straight. Like, it's definitely going to be...
It's 4 temps now, it's into the 4 temps. It's tumbling, you can see it visually in the top left corner. It's shrinking, it's 4.5
Right,
temps.
got this one and another.
There we go. That's all the more great
Minute 40.
racing. But now it's down to 3 temps, although under braking, Sanchez sneaking out a little bit for extent, compresses in once again. This is surely the move and the momentum starting to build from Webster, where he's closing in on the Spaniard in front of them. So look back from Alejandro Sanchez. That is what 4 temps around the midfield of Fuji looks like right now. Where does Webster go for it? Turn 1? Or is that too obvious?
I mean, yeah, it is, but we've seen him put Alex under pressure there and make the mistake. I think that's the thing. So we'll keep an eye. We'll mistake there.
They're all running wide. They're all following each other along in the train right now. So Caruso did pick up about a 10th against these guys, which will help him defend 3rd place. But Sanchez got away with one there because they were all so fixated on one another that they all just followed exactly the same line. So it just completely nullified the situation.
Yeah, this is as close as it's been. So I think Alex is going to try and shake the draft a little bit, just so that Cooper doesn't get clear pass before turn 1. But I think he's going to park it on the inside. We've seen him do this. Here he goes to the right. Is that it? Does he jink back? No, he doesn't. So no. Cooper's going to have to do it the hard way around the outside. Goes for a good old late move. Late on the brakes, perhaps a bit too deep. Yeah, he is. Sanchez back onto that gas a little early and keeps that position.
He's held on to it for now.
It's going to have to be a surprise attack somewhere in this lap.
It is, because white flag's in the air. This is the last lap. This is the last chance in the first of our 3 finals for Webster to get past Sanchez. Caruso still fending off and actually growing his gap ever so slightly to Telvar of BS Competition, who's currently sitting in 4th. Oh, is that a mistake? Is that a
slow down? It's got to be.
Sanchez, he's going to lose 2nd place as well as Caruso, and he's lost 4th. All of a sudden, it's come undone for He's run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel.
Surely not.
That sounds like to me. He's run out of fuel.
Oh, well.
Yep. Well, you think you've seen it all, and I think Alex, he was anticipating it going 1 less lap.
Yeah.
Well, that's on its head, because
it was close, that's the thing.
It was incredibly close, but Webster's good at, well, Could he do it? Well, he didn't need to in the end. Sanchez runs out of fuel. Webster wins. Caruso second. Talvar, who looked like he was going to finish last, he comes home in third. And it's advantage Audi.
we wanted a bit of everything, and we've absolutely had it all as well. So yeah, that was some good racing there, even still. And yeah, so honours to Oracle, Red Bull Racing Esports, and Cooper Webster. I suspect Sanchez will be the last one to make it to the grid as he's about to do some setup changes.
Yeah, I get the feeling as well. I'm sure probably a bit of a clip round the ear from his team manager coming, over Discord for that one. But there are your shootout results for race 1. Webster taking the victory, Caruso second, Talvar third, and Sanchez, who didn't put enough fuel into his car. There he is. That looks like to me. He's hands across onto the keyboard tray, trying to work out exactly just how much extra he needs to put away with and get away with it.
Just goes to show that the margins these guys are trying to get, even in these little short races, they're trying to get the fuel absolutely bang on. And yeah, what were they, about 10 seconds?
Yes.
For making it there or not making it?
The difference was between them. It's... Well, you think you've seen it all, and then all of a sudden it flips on its head and never fails to deliver. That is the beauty of sim racing. That is why we love it. But here's your grid for the second of our shootouts from the final. Webster starts on pole. Caruso, his fellow countryman, joins him on the front row. Talvar and Sanchez on second row for BS and Apex respectively. Ooh. Well, Sanchez definitely, as you said, will be the last one to grid, I would imagine. I think actually probably seeing Sanchez, I'm guessing they would have worked out exactly what happened. I bet they're all going to leave this right until the very last second to grid up now, Alex.
Yeah, I didn't see when he took to the grid actually.
Do you think as well? I mean, where they are running these incredibly fine margins, would it have made much of a difference for the other guys where they were all sat in the draft?
I mean,
you say?
Yes, it would have done. I don't think enough that they, in that 10 minutes, they would have made it as opposed to... It was
about 10 minutes, yes.
To Alex. I mean, like I say, I don't know if it was kind of the waiting on the grid or something like that. I think it was just genuine miscalculation on how many laps this race was going to go.
Well, still waiting. Well, weirdly, the first driver to pop in there was Sanchez, who then escapes out of it incredibly quickly.
It's 4 minutes that they've got.
It is. It's definitely everyone playing a bit of mind games now, trying to force someone in and out. It's like the hokey cokey, in out, check it all about. But the two Australians,
just to drill into that as to what they're saying there. So we're just getting word in our ear that actually they were expecting the previous lap to be the white flag, and then it be checker. But actually, it made them go for that one extra lap, which caught them all. Well, certainly caught Alex by surprise. The others had enough fuel to make it.
Interesting though, based on that, Sanchez had clearly calculated to perfection in terms of getting the fuel down as low as possible, except for that extra lap coming in there. And I mean, it was incredibly close because we weren't 100% sure in the commentary booth, and obviously we can see a bit more of the timing. Obviously we can concentrate on it and deliberate and debate, whereas the guys, well, down track, they're busy driving, trying to pick up some prize money for themselves. What a great time of the year to pick it up in the run-up, days before Christmas. But everyone's on the grid, just waiting for the last couple of seconds here to tick over before the safety car will pull away. That would be up racing.
That reminds me a little bit of, I think it was in the Porsche Super Cup series when they were at Le Mans, and it forced an additional lap, and half the grid were like, what? And had to pit. And then I do remember at the time the Apex lads had done some testing and things like that, and knew that it was going to go an extra lap, so they were fueled for it. I think.
Well,
yeah, I think the race actually got scrapped. I think they pulled it from the results as it was. So yeah, it's not going to happen. You know, it's going to stand as it is for now. It's not going to affect anything. This is just personal pride right now.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's probably a good job that Sanchez is at the cut-off stage of making it or maybe not making it, because that would have put the cat amongst the pigeons and definitely had a few disputes with the stewards over how we were going to...
Makes this fight a bit more spicy.
It definitely does, Alex. Definitely does. So, 2 Australians on the front row. Webster will control the pace when the safety car comes in. So head past the camera. That lovely sound of feet and back in top of iRacing. When's he going to go? Sanchez went early. It's Webster, no, he's leaving it later. He's left it later. Sanchez pulls out. He's looking aggressive. He's trying to find a way through. Webster leaves everyone standing. I'll tell you what, Caruso under a bit of trouble right now. Sanchez trying to split. There's no everyone, because this is tight. Down into turn 1. Who's going to come on top? Is it going to end in disaster? Sanchez elects to back out of it a little bit. Talva heads up the inside. Caruso hung out strong on the outside as Sanchez comes alongside him. But Caruso's going to be on the inside here. But can Sanchez do the big send? Can he make his way around? He bounces across the curb. He's still alongside Caruso. This could go absolutely anyway, as Caruso's desperately trying to keep his nose in there. He's looking for the cutback against Sanchez. Is he going to make it work? I think he's just about done it here, Alex. And there's contact between them as they get onto the power, and they're fighting right now. Wow, what an opening start, and this is still not done and dusted, because Sanchez moves left, he moves right, he moves left again. He's ducking, he's diving, he's dodging as he has another lunge up the inside, and Caruso is surely going to have to yield this time around. Is he going to get it on the switchback? Well, the Australian's trying to find a way past in that Audi, but he has to relinquish. And all while this is going on, Webster and Talvar, they've checked well up. They don't want to be a part of this.
6 seconds clear from this battle.
That's crazy, because they've not even completed a full lap yet. But Sanchez has got a hold of it, but Caruso's going to be in his slipstream on the run down to turn 1. Standard tactics from Sanchez. He's up against that pit wall once again.
Yeah, absolutely parking it. And actually Jordan decided, do you know what? Let's have a bit of bump drafting. Let's see if we can, see if we can't catch these guys up. Have to jink to the left just to see the break-in points at this point. No. Surprise! He's like, no, we're going to try and catch up Fulger, and then sends one up the inside. No time for that.
It's wow. Makes out like he's playing the teamwork game with the bump draft, and then sticks one up the inside when Sanchez is expecting otherwise. Up in front, Webster and Talvar, 7/10 separating the pair of them. Now, Talvar struggled for a little bit of pace in the first of the shootout races. I don't know whether he's got... I mean, it doesn't seem to have that Lamborghini dialed in as much as what he did previously. Or do you think it's maybe just where the Audi's ever so slightly better around here compared to the Lamborghini?
I mean, there's not much in them, but maybe... I mean, you're saying that it's half a second that he's back at the moment, so I guess let's see if he can keep it sort of in and around that time frame. I'm going to say there's nothing going on there, and it's Talvar's on it. But if Cooper pulls it out and keeps it around about 6/10, 7/10 of a second, then I'm going to say actually it's he's struggling a little bit.
Well, there's a flash of the lights there.
Maybe listening. Give us another flash.
Just look at the background there, Caruso. Wow, there's left, right, left again. In and out as Sanchez sells in the dummy there up the inside. Brilliant move, but Caruso's going to fight this one back, and he's going to squeeze Sanchez as much as Sanchez is going to have the inside here to enter into towards Coca-Cola. Caruso looking for the switchback, has to yield though, and I don't think he's going to get a good enough run to come alongside. No, the feather of the throttle, there it goes. Great stuff from these two. They're having absolute whale of a time out there. You see it from down the start-finish straight with all the weaving that's going on. But they're going to have to be careful at this rate with all this weaving. The extra mileage that they're adding on, they're running out of fuel again.
I was going to say the pair of them ran out of fuel this time.
Yeah.
Twice as long.
Well, hopefully lightning won't strike twice for Sanchez. Those two, well, they've dropped well off the back. It's the gap now 3 seconds between Sanchez and Talvar.
This is where Cooper looks really strong. Of course, he made his move in the final sector on Dane Warren, didn't he, on race 1. And this is where he looks strong. So if he can eke out a little bit of a margin, I think that's should mean that he's kind of safe from attack. So again, 0.6 of a second, eked out another 10th in that final sector. I mean, he'll lose it all here now with the draft, but it's still enough to sort of hold on to this position.
Right, he has looked incredibly strong, Cooper Webster, through that last sector. It just goes to show there, and the sector timings as well. Guess what? They're at it again. They're weaving down the straight. Is Caruso going to solve a dummy to Sanchez? Not this time. Not this time. Wouldn't it be ironic if this time around they don't have that extra lap?
Yeah, there'll be a few grumbles, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. I think there definitely would be indeed. And let's take a little look back at this replay of the start of the race. And Webster,
oh my God, that got tight in there for a second.
Wow, how did Sanchez...
I mean, Alex pulled out of it as well. I was like, nope, I think my better option here is to try and get the cutback.
I mean, when you're in the middle of a free wide, it's normally impending death for you because you never know quite, as much as these guys, you know, they race a lot with one another, they understand what each other's going to do, and that's that, you know, bit of respect for one another. Even so, it's a scary place to be in the middle because you've got to get it absolutely right and play that the guy to the left of you and the guy to the right is going to comply with it and not have a wobble. Otherwise, it just ends in death for all three of you.
I think the critical move was actually just after that, where Jordan dived back up the inside there as well. That's what really broke those guys from having the draft of the cars ahead, so they're just on this straight out scrap between them. Talvar a little bit closer this time, by not enough to be able to get up to him and make a move. Sanchez closing in. No real fighting that last lap, but it's all too little too late, I'm afraid.
It is most certainly for the Spaniard. He's, well, no chance of catching up. Even if it was 3 seconds at the very start of the race, these 8-minute sprint races are truly sprint races. It's all or nothing for such a short time frame. And right now, Webster controlling it from the front, but that gap is shrinking. It's under half a second. It's closer to 4/10 than anything. And Sanchez trying to drag Caruso with him up the road. He's opened up that gap. It's about 0.6 of a second between Spaniard and the Aussie right now. As in this battle, the Lamborghini's getting the better of the Audi. But up front, it's the Audi getting the better of the Lamborghini, as they have closed up even further. But this is Webster's time to shine. It's where he's been so strong all evening, and they're going to run to the line. I guess that they will get across the line in time. I think they will. Let's find out. Yeah, they will. They'll be going at such a rate of knots coming across it that they'll be okay. But Webster, he's done it. But he's done it again, hasn't he? Look, he's pulled out probably even a 10th and a half over Talvar in that final sector alone.
Yeah, I say that makes all the difference. Under 4/10, you're under a lot of pressure. If you can keep out to sort of 6/10, you're able to defend here. Right. So yeah, Talvar, he's in a good position right now. He's going to have to do some sort of surprise move again. It's going to make it happen. It's not easy. These GT3s, they do produce enough downforce to give you a little bit of dirty air. So it's always hard when you're tucked up close behind here.
Especially with such these long, swooping corners like this.
Just the understeer there for Talvar. You could just see it. Just that Lambo just did not want to fight and turn.
Just making hay while the sun's shining here in Japan and keeping hold of that gap. But this is where Talvar's much stronger. It's this second sector. attempts. He closes it up once again, gets it down to about 4 attempts. It ekes back. Webster able to get better traction off the corner to come into this final sector. And we'll watch Webster grow the gap again. Surely this is Webster's now. He is going to make it 2 wins from 2 in the shootout through Panasonic for the final time. And the Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports driver secures his 2nd win in the shootouts, 2 from 2. We'll start from pole for our 3rd race from the shootouts and the final. Wow, Talvar. I think that we're on for that intriguing battle, Alex, because the way that they've all finished has really jumbled things up once again. As this now means, so that puts Webster out on 8 and, well, realistically the favourite for this evening. As Caruso now, he came home in 3rd. Sorry, Sanchez was 3rd even, apologies. So that puts him on 3 points. Talvar finishing 2nd, gets him 3 points. So he is on 5 now. And Caruso, he's on 4. So we've got an 8 for Webster. We've got 5 for Talvar, 4 for Caruso, and 3 for Sanchez. So this is basically
not quite as cut and dry as it was yesterday, but
most certainly not. Most certainly not. But it could go. I mean, other than so, anyone can potentially still win this. So Sanchez is on 3 points. He would need to win, but
to be on 7.
Well, yeah, of little faith. You never know. All it takes is.
No, I'm saying he'd only get to 7 points. He's on 3 at the moment.
No, oh yes, sorry, you would do, wouldn't he? Apologies, it's my maths. In all the excitement, I was thinking like you'd get 5 points for it.
I mean, I'm all for wishful thinking for Alex, right?
Well, yes. So the best thing you can hope for is a 2nd, but he would need to win to do that. Caruso with a win would put him on 8, but Webster would still beat him even if he finished last with 9 points. Talvar is the interesting one, though. So Webster would have to finish last, Talvar would have to win, and Talvar would win it because he'd won the last of the round.
Yep. Yeah, for the equal count back, it's all about the final round. If for those that haven't watched the previous ones and don't know how that works, but yeah. Oh, yeah, could happen.
It could happen. Well, we've seen stranger things happened already. I mean, we've seen one driver not putting the fuel in for one of our shootout races in the final, and you never quite know. But this is basically Webster to lose, and he's looked so dominant in that last sector, and that's where you really need to be dominant, especially in these types of races, and this circuit, especially with that long run down to turn 1.
Yeah, he's looked strong there all day. Like I say, he was able to make moves there, and he was able to get close enough to people that he could put like Sanchez and others under pressure where he needed to as well. So yeah, great job. Obviously the guy's got a little warm up here, a little 3-minute one, just how the iRacing sort of heat system works.
Yes.
I think you can only have so many back to back, and then you have to have a break, and then it's I think it's technically classed as the feature for iRacing, but we're calling it shootout number 3 for the night. So
that is correct. Absolutely spot on there, Alex. And well, that's one way to get your team a bit of camera time, isn't it? Just head out right at the end. You know no one else is on track. You know the camera's going to be featured, and well, I've set out there, but well, here we go. The final race of the final round before the final. Is there enough finals in that sentence? You could say it's the final countdown as well. Yeah. There we go.
For the final time this year?
For the final time this year. And the final time this evening. From the final race of the final, Webster starts on pole. Talvar joins him on the front row. Sanchez and Caruso, they start on the 2nd row of the grid. Mixed up a little bit compared to what we've had it previously. We've had 2 Lamborghinis on the left and 2 Audis on the right. We've had an all-Australian row. But now, they're all completely jumbled up. Left, right and centre. Alex, prediction time. I think surely Webster wins this. 3 from 3. Usual. Goes early. Leaves the other 3 cars to scrap it out over second and walks away with it.
Yeah, I think we see Webster win this one, and then just a great battle between the 3 for second place.
Nothing to lose whatsoever for any of them. The feather of the throttle, and clearly, after seeing what we saw to Sanchez in the first of our shootouts, feather of the throttle, and not wanting to consume too much of that motion lotion. On board now with Caruso. What is he going to do? How is he going to play this? He seems to be backing up a bit more of an aggressive stance from Sanchez, who's tucked up right behind Webster. What are his reactions like, though? Gonna go early? Is Webster gonna hold it? Safety car's in. Let's find out. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's leaving it. There he goes. He gets on the loud pedal, and Talvar, is he going to tuck him behind? No, he can't, because Sanchez has got a brilliant run here, and he squeezed his nose up the inside. But Caruso, he heads out onto the racing line. We're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. It's Talvar in the middle this time. It was Sanchez last time around. Sanchez has to back out. And Talvar somehow, someway holds on to it. We look back from the Estonian's car, and Caruso looks like he's going to nab the place from Sanchez here. Yeah, he has to back out of it. That's Caruso ahead of Sanchez.
Almost a carbon copy, but at least this time they're still in the mix. I think that's the thing, and I think the pair of them here, are they going to think about that? Oh, I thought it was all just going to go there. No, I'm going to send it.
Well, Talvar prodding, and so Caruso prodding and probing right now at the back end at Talvar. Meanwhile, Cooper Webster heads up the road, half a second advantage, nearly 6 tenths. It's just over half a lap complete, closer to 3/4 of a lap, in fact. And Caruso's wing mirrors, rear view mirror being filled by the sight of Alejandro Sanchez. Caruso really needs to get into Talvar if he wants to try and salvage anything out of tonight. If he wants to get ahead of him. Because if Caruso can finish ahead of Talvar, then he will walk away with $200 rather than $100 as things stand at the moment. And it's got to be worth a gamble, hasn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to go for it, right? You've got nothing to lose at this point. They're into the grand final. Like, yeah, let's just pick it up. Although he actually goes defensive on Sanchez. Sanchez having a look around the outside of turn 1. Nothing coming this time by. But yeah, maybe setting something up for the next lap.
Seems to be more of the case in this final. It's more about just manoeuvring the opponent around along the start-finish straight to try and get them where you want them, and they just nail that exit.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we said actually turn 1 was going to be the place that they make a lot of the moves, but actually it seems like if you can cover the inside fairly quickly, it's not so easy to get it done. I mean, if you can nail your braking points from being really tight onto on the line there, it's actually, you can defend it quite well.
It seems to be, it's that move then is still carrying on through turn 2, which is more of a kink than a turn per se, into turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you can get around the outside enough, I feel like you might just be able to hold it for the left-hander that's afterwards. So we haven't seen it yet tonight, to be fair.
No one's able to quite pull it off. Certainly at the front. It's like brilliant camera angle there from the start-finish line. Well, of everyone just weaving around. You can see just how much these guys desperate to break the draft, to remove that competitive edge from the driver behind. Sanchez has a look at the inside. This is going to be the move for third. Caruso has to concede. Looks for the switchback, but will not get it done because Sanchez had got it covered. And Sanchez back up into third now.
I'm surprised Jordan didn't cover that. I really am. I think he could have covered that off.
I think so as well. I think he could have just like you say, just nailed it there.
What's his best opportunity now if Alex takes off? Salva only comes through and takes second and gets second overall for
Well, yeah, I mean, as things stand, Talvar will... Well, actually...
I'm not hoping for the crash, by the way. I'm just saying.
No.
What's these calculations going through his head?
Now, this actually is advantage Sanchez because, as things stand, that would tie them on points, and because it's obviously from the last race of the shootout, Sanchez would finish third overall because he's finished above Caruso in this final shootout.
So this is the sector that Talvar struggles a little bit. I mean, he's got 6/10 on Sanchez for the moment, so don't think we'll see anything this lap, but maybe we can get close enough. And Webster even feeling like he wants to go a little defensive with the weave in, just to try and break the draft a little bit more. Maybe he'd rather have Sanchez have a go at trying to get past Talvar here.
So it's racing into turn one, they come.
Hate that curb. Just want to say that. That's the curb that killed me in the VCO event. I was doing amazing there, but yeah, just pop in the wall.
Hold a personal grudge with that curb. Now.
That's it. I don't like it now.
The death of time. For me, it's based on most curbs. Always seem to end up hitting them. A lot of these guys who kept it pretty clean in this final. No real door rubbing even per se. Yes, calming down. 5.5 minutes out of the 8. Complete Webster leads from Talvar. Sanchez just dropping back a little. Well, I would say he's dropping back a little bit. Last time around, actually set the fastest lap of the race is Sanchez, but not enough really to be able to make some progress against Talvar. Caruso, after conceding the position to Sanchez, not really been able to make back those positions. This round they come through Panasonic, winding the car up, launching it out. Look at that slingshot out the corner.
Yeah, Jordan's actually closer to Sanchez than Sanchez is to Talvar here, so they're pretty even apart, but if there's a move going to happen, you'd think it'd be for the other way. Maybe not.
Wow. It's all going to cancel out. Schwarber out, Alex.
It has, yeah. That looks like a draft train to me right now.
It does. Well, it looks like a draft train. It certainly sounds like one going on right now, and this certainly is, isn't it? They're just all towing each other along. But where Webster just has got that final sector absolutely nailed on, it's all immaterial because he creates such a buffer that it negates some of the effects where they're moving towards being on the edge of that draft effect, and then they're just towing each other along. It could not work any better. I mean, if Webster had made it through to Daytona, he'd be hoping Fuji came up so he could just go out in the Audi again and just rinse and repeat this one.
I mean, just for clarification, right? It is at Daytona.
It is at Daytona, and Webster isn't in the final.
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. But yes, yeah, like you say, he looks really strong there. Qualifying would have been important had that been that theoretical thing. But yeah, one thing about Daytona is it's any one of those four is going to be able to win it because it's Daytona, right? That slipstream that you get. They're going to. I feel like all four races they're going to come off of the bus stop chicane, and it's just going to be like, who's going to get the best draft? They're all going to come together.
It to perfection to get the run on everyone else. It's for the first. Well, I haven't really seen that from Webster too much tonight. That hugging the inside line that we've seen Sanchez do, well, relentlessly pretty much all evening.
Saw Sanchez in the rearview mirror there get quite close, under 0.3 of a second for a little moment, but yeah, still not enough to get it done. So this is the final lap of the race.
It is. It's the final lap of the qualifiers. And it's all just come. Well, it's sort of bringing this down, I think, off a high of what's been an absolute epic evening of racing, nice and gently, like a warm, soothing bath almost. Webster just needs to bring this one home to secure the victory here this evening, walking away with $300 in prize money. Talvar finishing second. Well, actually, nice little bit there. They'll actually finish how they will finish in the standings, walking away from this race meeting. So Webster will secure the victory. Talvar second, Sanchez third, Caruso fourth. Oh, wow. Maybe not from Sanchez, who's getting airborne, certainly with the front end there. But Webster's going to take it. 3 wins from 3. Congratulations to Cooper Webster on a flawless display here in the final. Talvar comes home in third. He picks up the $200. So second even, he picks up $200 in prize money. Sanchez, by my calculations, yes, makes it into third place, with Caruso in the end having to settle for last, unfortunately. And that's gutting for Cooper. It's like for Caruso, Jordan Caruso, because I mean, second in the first race, and it just all fell apart for him after that.
Yeah.
All
It
fell
did,
apart.
but I think more than anything, Jordan will be celebrating the fact that he's got a trip to
yeah, I think that's all he's
Florida.
thinking about. And if you want to know how to drift and do burnouts and rolling burnouts in a RD R8 V10, take note of Cooper Webster there.
Yeah, I wonder if Jordan will go. I mean, he has made it to the final. You can have a substitute and things like that, but remember there is a little clause about obviously the finalists from Europe and America in terms of all the transportation and expenses and stuff like that. So, yeah, so you might have to head there or whatnot. But yeah, I say I hope so too.
Coming out, so I'm sure you can find a way to send Jordan there. But here's your results for Shootout 3 from the final. Webster taking the victory. Talvar second, Sanchez third, Caruso finishing fourth. And that's how they finish in the standings for this evening as well. It's nicely lined up. We're going to head to a bit of a break now and check out some of the highlights while we head back to the studios. We have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers here. We'll see you shortly.
Ozzy said that's a little adventurous going down the outside. Yeah, he's got to get that position. Probably gonna lose another one. Yeah. That was a very brave move.
Well, that move it.
Right up.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going at it, and the blocking that was going up there from first place there. We're going to get a replay of it. Yeah, darted right to the inside as we get a replay here, coming through turn 9, and he throws the block on him.
Welcome back. What a final. What a final. I mean, I think it might have been a bit different if Sanchez had calculated his fuel correctly.
Yep.
But even so, I mean, they weren't first for a 3 wide, were they? And that run down to turn 1, it was, I mean, you're seeing some great shots right now in the background. The mind games going on of left, right, down the start-finish straight, it was just brilliant to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we expected, right? It was a good, decent race from this one, and I think that is exactly what we got. So obviously, I'm gutted for Alex with the fuel thing. Like I say, it turns out, like I say, there was some weird thing with the server timings or something like that that meant they went an extra one where they probably weren't expecting to. But yeah. It is what it is. It gave us a great battle in the second race as well between him and Jordan, wasn't it? They had a great ding-dong battle. So yeah, it's good. I'd say 2 manufacturers, 4 teams. That's what we wanted. I was a bit disappointed perhaps with the final race. I felt like after the first lap it was a bit...
yeah, it'd been building throughout the night, hadn't it?
Yeah.
You know, with drama, excitement, action, overtakes. And you thought it was just going to be, do you know what, last race of the season, gloves are off, let's just go out there and have a bit of fun and whatever happens, happens. But it just turned into a bit of, well, other than the change around between Sanchez and Caruso, it just pretty much finished as it was.
Yeah. I think just seeing obviously the first race battles, some of the highlights that were on screen as well. So yeah, Cooper had by far, I think, the best car in that last sector and was able to had the best opportunity to make moves into turn 1. And even he couldn't. And then, yeah, like I say, I was like, what is going on here? I thought slow down. It wasn't until we got inside the car we could hear it spluttering away.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely gutted for Sanchez. I think that sums up his season.
It's just been filled with like
this was amazing.
This was an absolute epic start between these 3. I mean, Sanchez did get squeezed a little bit, even then just forced his way in with a crowbar and then backs out of it. I mean, I don't blame him for backing out. I mean, I don't think I would have even put my car there in the first place, but it was great to see, great for the neutrals.
Yeah, brave, I think, from Jordan on the outside there, because yes, you say about the person in the middle always kind of gets, like, almost 100% of the time it's the person on the outside that just gets spat off into the wall. So yeah, full commitment for him to try and hold that around the outside, and that's kind of what we had, that great little battle between them. But this was amazing. Like I say, they went proper at it this lap, chopping and changing positions all over the place. So yeah, it was great. A lot of respect actually from the pair of them. They raced hard and they raced fair there.
They did. I mean, as much as you saw Alejandro getting into the back of Jordan there, but you can see him just fighting. Yes, he was fighting with the car to keep it straight, but there was no like, I'm just going to flick left so it cannons you off right or whatever it may be. They played it fair. It was basically every time we got down to turn 1, these 2 would swap over places again.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think we called that as a potential overtake, but then also in the race we're like, well, actually, can anyone really get it done if they hug the inside? And a couple of times the guys left the door open, screen going for it again. I see you in the background.
It can't cope with all the excitement we've had tonight. It keeps having to just go nope and just try and reset itself briefly. But you see across the line there, it was. I mean, Webster just controlled it from start to finish.
The minute that that fuel run out on Sanchez, I think, and seeing how strong Webster was in that final sector, he had tonight licked. I think like no one was going to get the move on him. He'd already seen from Alex that you can defend that inside really, really well. So he knew where to plant the car, and then like I say, he just. Drive coming off that final corner was just amazing in that Audi. And
Alex has been defending that inside line in the previous, the build-up rounds every single time with, largely great effect. This is from the final race of the shootouts.
So Jordan left the door open here. Like I don't think Sanchez would have got him there if he'd have just covered up the inside, and then from there, that's it. They just stayed absolutely as they were.
It was a relatively simple affair in the end, but let's have a bit of a chat to our winning driver for today. Now joined by Cooper Webster of Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports. Cooper, congratulations. Nice little Christmas present with the prize money. I mean, talk about your car setup. I think you can do now. Obviously, we're moving away from this event. The final sector, especially coming out of Panasonic, you had it absolutely nailed on there.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, that was so much better than the other rounds I had. I was kind of, really determined to fix up the results I had the first 2 rounds and redeem myself for this last one. So, yeah, I cracked down on the setup. Did heaps more hours for practice, and I don't know. I didn't think the car was that amazing for the last corner compared to what you guys think, but I think it was good. Obviously, you've got a better perspective from outside the track, but yeah, I didn't do anything different with the setup from the previous rounds. I just, I think I might have tuned it just a little bit, like a few clicks here and there, but it was, yeah, nothing major, no top secret, no revolutionary setup change. But yeah, I think tonight was very good.
I love the way it was just so just blasé, didn't do much. It's just roll up and see what happens. But I mean, race 1, that move through the final corner, it was absolutely astounding to take everyone. Alex sat in the commentary booth next to me. He was like a child on Christmas morning. He was that excited over it. I mean, was it a case of the door just opened for you and you just full on sent it and went for it, or was there a little bit of intention beforehand where you'd been sizing people up?
Well, that last lap, I think I was sitting in 3rd, and I was pretty happy just sitting there. Like, I was struggling with tyres a little bit. Like, the Audi was very difficult to kind of, like, it's a knife edge sort of thing. As soon as you go over, then you'll spin out or loop it. So I was happy sitting in 3rd, and then Dane had a huge go at I don't know who was in the lead at that time in the right hander, like the 3rd last corner, which surprised me. And then they came really close together, which brought me up to both of them. And I wasn't really trying to make any move, but Dane, I think, heard his tyres. He went in blocked, and the door just opened up basically, and I just put my car there, and it worked out good. So I didn't really plan anything. It was just reacting as things happened.
Alex, I'm sure you've got a question for Cooper, most certainly.
Yeah, well, I just want to say congratulations again, Cooper. And actually, I tell you what, the guys loved it, because even the producers in our ear all shouted down the microphones when you went for it. So it was a good move. It looked good. So yeah, well done on that. Just obviously tell us, this year has been kind of like mixed duties for you. Obviously, congratulations first on the Red Bull sign-in. That was a great job, well done. Represented them really well over this year, but switched over to some R-Factor 2 in the Virtual Le Mans series, and you've done really, really well over there as well. So coming back to iRacing, looking really strong. So I guess getting yourselves ready for next year's PESC series. So just tell us a little bit about kind of everything you've been doing this season.
So started off with PESC, and that was just full focus, nothing else mattered. It was just only PESC, and then got through those first 6 months, and then I didn't plan on doing Le Mans Virtual on R-Factor. I hadn't really touched the game before at all, really. I did the Le Mans the year before, and that was pretty good. I loved that event, but just really I didn't do very well pace wise because I was so new to R-Factor, and I've been only driving iRacing for the whole time I've been sim racing. So yeah, so I was a bit worried about how I'd go this year jumping into Le Mans, but just did a lot of hours in practice and worked with the team, and I got really comfortable in the simulator. And yeah, I love that series, and we started off with a win at Bahrain, and that was pretty awesome. Didn't expect that. And then we had a bit unlucky at Monza. We had an accident at the start, but then it rained during that race, which was a really cool experience. Hopefully iRacing brings that soon. But yeah, so I'm just doing this series came up, and I thought it's good to do something competitive before PES starts again, because I've been away from iRacing a little bit, and just to kind of familiarise myself with the racing, the contacts, and like the little things that you pick up that are really important when PES comes around. So yeah, I'll do a bunch more officials and things, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was in some competitive series before the PES season starts again.
Yeah, awesome, Jordan. Yeah, congratulations on the win tonight. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, solid performance, and just a bit gutted. Yeah, we couldn't see you in the other sort of 2 finals that we had through no fault of your own, really.
I mean, I probably could have qualified better in those other 2 rounds, which would have helped. And I was kind of put myself in the middle of the pack both times, which is it doesn't help. But yeah, I think I made my own mistake at Laguna. Just not enough sleep and just made an error and hurt myself there. And then at Sebring, that was a bit less my fault. I think it was a bit 50-50. So, and that was a bad qualifying. But yeah, I knew if I just practiced as hard as I could for this round, qualify well, stay at the front, I'd be in it somewhat at the end. So yeah.
Wow, congratulations, Cooper. You're now $300 richer. Lovely present for Christmas. And well, what a way to finish off the year with a victory in a series. Well, from a race from a series anyway. And well, good luck for the new year. I mean, well, great result for Cooper, and someone who's really just grown as the years gone on, and interesting saying about R Factor and how he's got to grips with that, and he's really enjoying his sim racing right now.
Yeah, sounds like it. And I think actually a lot of the guys are starting to find that they're doing more multi-platform racing. Just seems to be that sim racing is growing, that actually they want to do that as well. Not that it was ever just a iRacing thing that people,
or just an R Factor thing.
People did, but actually now a lot of competitions are starting to sort of put it out there to do multi-platform stuff, and actually people are dipping their toes in different platforms, so it just makes it a bit more exciting that they kind of want to get involved. So yeah, it's good to hear that he's had some success and now started to think about next year's PES series.
A nice sort of hint drop there about iRacing with the rain there after enjoying it in the Le Mans Virtual Series. But now joined by another one of our drivers from this evening and finalists from this evening is Alejandro Sanchez of Apex Racing Team. Alejandro, well, I mean, talk about trials and tribulations. It's been a lot of unlucky rounds for you. And then the final, not enough fuel in there. We thought initially you had a slowdown, and it just shows what fine margins you guys are dealing with and trying to find that slight edge to get one over your competitors.
I thought it was going to be like 4.9 total laps. That was what I had an Excel sheet with all of that stuff, and it said 4.9. And when I crossed the line, it was 8:22. And usually iRacing, when it's like anything under 5.1 would have been 5, but for some reason it was 6 for the whole 3 rounds. So yeah, nothing I could really do. Didn't really prepare this race that well. I think I paid the price a little bit. I improved as the event went on. Did a couple of setup changes to account for dynamic track, and it paid out very well, because in the first couple of races I was really struggling, but then at the end I think I was pretty quick. But yeah, unlucky. Same could be said for the other 2 rounds, where I qualified P2 in both of them, and this one got pole. But yeah, didn't make it into the top 4. That's just the way it is sometimes. Quite a short championship as well, so there wasn't much chance to fight back from the bottom end of the table. But yeah, overall happy with the progress I made with the setup, and yeah.
Well, you say that, I mean, you only finished 5 points off actually making it to Daytona based on your result this evening, so you weren't really a million miles off considering the bad fortune that you'd had. But let's talk about tonight. Obviously, when you're defending those leads, the pit wall is clearly your new best friend. You were so up close and personal to it, lap after lap after lap. Was it all about just whoever the race, especially at the race starts as well, whoever could get to that inside line knew that they were either going to defend a position or make progress and move up through positions?
with the new updates of the dynamic track and the track polish and stuff, if you are slightly offline, there's literally no grip, and even less so with marbles on, which was the case for the championship. So anything offline was just all over the place, so there was no grip. It was really slick. So yeah, it was just a matter of holding to the inside and staying there. There was no way nobody could get past around the outside. So yeah, it was just a matter of keeping it on the inside at all times, and yeah, just holding on.
Well, Alex, I'm sure you'd like to have a question and be polite to your one of your drivers.
I think more of a statement just to say, yeah, hard luck, Alex, for the season. Obviously didn't go quite as you would have hoped, but yeah, still put a good showing in here at the end, even though we had the fun with the fuel and things like that. I'm pretty sure we had game chat on, and I'm sure you must have said something, because I swear I heard you for a second. Or maybe it's just in my head, I was thinking, this is what he's saying. But yeah, I mean, again, on a personal statement, just been a great year to obviously, you know, Alex joined us this year, so he's had a great season with us, and we've had some great results and stuff like that. So yeah, this one doesn't add to it, unfortunately, but I'm sure we're going to make some history next year with a lot more wins.
Yeah, hopefully we win a lot more races next year. This year wasn't too bad, I'd say. One of the best years in my career, and I think so quite a good year for the team, and really thankful to be a part of Apex Racing team, and hopefully, yeah, we get a better result in PESC, for example, next year. But yeah, really happy with the progress, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Well, congratulations, Alejandro. I mean, finishing third overall here today, not a bad result at all. Picking up some prize money, not a bad way to end the year, but we should let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. And, I mean, talk about the form that he's been in, the second half of the year, obviously excluding, you know, this championship, he's definitely been one of the drivers to watch out for, especially in GTs.
He's so fast. I think we've seen glimpses of that over the last couple of years in different special events and different Porsche results that we've seen.
It's interesting, that dynamic that he seems to have built with Kevin Ellis Jr. as well, as a partnership, where they just seem to be constantly bouncing off over and just going from strength to strength to strength, and, you know, dominating GT esports at the moment. You know, you think back to the IMSA Championship they entered recently, you know, amongst others, just absolutely just clinical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to obviously talk too much about them, because it needs to be about today's series. But yeah, I'm super happy with how they've performed this year for sure, especially the second half of this year. The whole team, everyone here in Corby, you know, the whole atmosphere, and being able to do events like this in the studio, get them all together. We had a big team meet-up last weekend, and, you know, it's just so much fun. Just being here, you know, it's like, even as a team manager, you know, I'm still pinching myself. Like, are we really doing this? Is this ours? Like, we've built this, and, you know, this all just come from a hobby, you know, from a lad doing racing with his dad, model car racing. That's where it all started off for me. And to think that we're doing this sort of stuff now, and these live broadcasts, and great team, and great group of guys, and he's like, yeah, it's just amazing. Well,
yeah, it's amazing, and, you know, businesses like VRS and obviously Coliseum that's coming in the new year as well, just growing at it, and it's an industry that seems to be gathering more and more momentum and pace, and money coming into the industry that's probably been missing for quite a while.
I think that's fair to say. I think in terms of, like, yeah, esports, you know, sim racing has been a little bit behind the curve. Starting to really pick up some momentum now. It's not, and I think it's doing it in the right way. It's not just going bananas with it. I mean, I think we've seen what going crazy is like. If I may just sort of obviously mention, like, the Formula E Vegas race thing, because that would have been like, if we just kind of had that, and just been throwing money at it for the sake of throwing it. But now it just seems to be a lot more organic growth in the space, and actually, yeah, real sensible series that are attracting more sort of sustained partners and sponsors. So yeah, I mean, 2022 has been an amazing year for sim racing and everybody involved, and I think 2023 is just going to be more of the same again. So, and again, as a team manager, I'm just really, really pumped for what 2023 is going to bring. So yeah, more racing, more crazy battles, more endurance races, more meetups, everything. I think it's just going to be amazing.
And talking about 2023, of course, we've got the final of this event at the Rolex Daytona 24 Hours. Barneveld, we've got Talvar, Bonga all making it through, and I've just thank you, Jordan Crusoe of Altus. So my mind went completely and utterly blank there. Who's your favourite? Who do you think's going to round out the winner?
I mean, I think the interesting thing, of course, is they're not taking their own. They're not going to be on their own rig, so it's going to be what they have got. I mean, I don't know what sim setup any of the guys have got. I mean, I suspect, obviously, with it being a virtual racing school partnered event, it's going to be using the equipment that we're seeing right here in front of us. So if they have that gives them a particular advantage. So I'm thinking Jordan right now, I'm almost sure will have them. So I think, maybe advantage Jordan going into there. Maybe it'll be like his home rig from home. But yeah, what we have seen is Reina is able to react and adapt to different cars, setups, things like that very, very quickly. And when you're at kind of like almost like a LAN event, which essentially it will be, that is critical. Though you often see drivers maybe a couple of tenths of a second behind at the home events, but they can react really, really well to being in an alien environment and get the best out of it. Instead of dropping off 3/4 of a second, maybe they only drop back half a second, and could be advantage Talva. So those are my two picks that I'm going to go for.
So we have got the top 10 and the championship points confirmed, and just confirm. Oh no. Bear with us one moment.
It was as quick as they give it to us, they took it away.
I know, yeah. Just a couple of technical difficulties in the background there. Rounding sound, so I'm sure we'll come to those very shortly. But I'll tell you, obviously, there we go. All up now. Talvar taking the victory on 92 points. Caruso in the end, only 7 points behind him on 85. And then it's Talvar's teammates of Bonga and Barneveld who just about make it in. And then, Sanchez in the end, 7 points behind. Cooper Webster tied with him for 5th too. Pastor Lafuente, who we thought would make it through. Jonas Varner, got to feel absolutely gutted for him. Coming into this evening, joint second, in the end, finishes 9th.
Just goes to show...
The Breach was in that top...
as well. Yeah, it just goes to show what one bad event can do. And, Sanchez is, and Webster, even though they said they've had their share, they were still able to score some reasonable points in those one as well. But
drag himself back in the equation.
What you which we haven't really talked about is BS Plus competition. 3 drivers in that final. What an amazing achievement. They'll be way to end the year.
Well, it is a great way to end the year for them. I mean, and surely it's got to carry over into next year, and really puts them in good stead as well for the final of this event.
Yep.
But also, it's as a team, that's got to give you some momentum and gravitas and confidence to be able to go out there, start the new year with. Do you know what? We walked away with 3 drivers in the top 4. Yep. Couldn't bar, Jordan finishing in 4th and them locking out the top 3. It could not have gone any better for them.
No, not at all. And I think form is something that's quite critical in sim racing. Because if you've got a lot of confidence, you can carry that form into events. I know for us, obviously winning Daytona 24 just set us up in such good form for the whole year. Has helped every kind of event that we have done, and all the rest of the races that have kind of gone afterwards. So yeah, this will help them kickstart their 2023 for sure. Because no matter what, they're gonna walk away with some decent prizes from that.
Wow. Well, let's talk about Coliseum and VRS, 2 sponsors, obviously VRS, all their equipment displayed lovely in front of us. Coliseum, just a bit of a mention to those guys. Obviously, a brand new social media platform coming that brings basically sim racing, the whole community, fans alike, all together under one umbrella. And one easy to use platform.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting thing, is it's going to be a way for everybody to engage with everybody directly in a lot easier fashion than has been done before. So yeah, I think we've seen the advertising that's gone on, and some of the adverts and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to January, and I think once we have the final, we'll get get our hands on the app and be able to kind of see how it fully works and how we can start to sort of build and use that space to sort of build communities and things like that.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that's come out of it. It's the ability to build communities very quickly and easily, which could well see us having new content creators come along, because they're all encompassed into it as well. And the growth of people who might be struggling a little bit to get their audience, grow their audience and get their the word of their great content out there, all of a sudden it catapults them and accelerates their growth.
Yep.
Well, hopefully to the level of likes of Mr. Broadbent and such like this world.
Yeah, I mean that'd be amazing to see if it's if people can use that to sort of get out there to the masses a lot easier. I mean, I think just on a personal level, it's great that actually these guys have are building an application and a platform, and they have seen sim racing as part of it as well, and it's not just been left out. It could have quite easily just gone, oh yeah, we'll focus on the IRL world,
just
and that, because that's kind of where a lot of the major engagement probably will be, and not got involved with sim racing at all. The fact that they've partnered with VRS and they've put on this event and been able to offer these prize pools to the drivers and stuff like that, it's great that they're getting behind the community. So on a purely getting involved in sim racing, I'm really happy that they're on board and looking at the space. And let's hope that the app is going to be one that we can really embrace and use and to its full potential.
Well, most certainly. And well, talking about embracing, what a year it has been in sim racing. So many highs, so many lows, but wow, we've had new inventions, new technology, and it has grown so much of what's been an incredible 2022. What could 23 bring? Well, of course, we'll have the final of the 2023 Pro Sim Racing Sprint Championship Series, but you can bet your bottom dollar it's only going to get bigger and better as sim racing grows. For myself, Tim Cox, and Alex Simpson, thanks very much for watching. Have a great Christmas, a great New Year, and we'll be back for the final in January. We'll see you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best